Kaito was just your average explorer 2 years deep into the grind, endlessly hunting and zapping Rimuru with his trusty mosquito spray. But fate threw a wild curveball his way when he accidentally wiped out a golden slime. The reward? A rare summoning card featuring a mysterious girl, one so elusive it's almost a legend. Excited, Kaito summoned the girl only for 2 giant peaches to pop out. Wait, the girl in the card actually appeared, clutching her body. Her beauty held Kaito spellbound. But then, in a blink, she shrank down to a tiny size like this. And just like that, Kaito turned into a full-blown lolicon. His dream of having a beautiful girlfriend shattered, leaving him utterly defeated. Flashback to the day before. After school, this guy dove into the dungeon to take on a personal mission slay 1,000 slimes in half a year. But being too weak, he barely made it past the first floor. For him, this work was both passion and a means to earn some extra cash to survive his student life. After taking down the 999th slime, Kaito hunted for Rimuru but found only a rare golden slime, shimmering with a radiant glow. Slowly, he crept closer, armed with 2 mosquito sprays within range, and unleashed a toxic blast. The slime thrashed and fled, desperate to escape. Not letting up, he switched to a stronger spray and finished the job. Expecting a mountain of experience points, he was met with a mere trickle. Seriously, this guy's been grinding slimes for 2 years and is still only level 3, no saving him now. Usually, monsters drop mana stones or something valuable, but this one dropped a golden card with a beautiful maiden's image instead. Checking her status, Kaito discovered she was from the Valkyrie tribe named Fi, a demi-goddess. Overjoyed beyond belief, he felt luck had finally smiled on him. Luckily, this dungeon was rarely visited and had 0 cameras, so he pocketed the card, planning his next move. When he tried to check its value, no data appeared, meaning no one else owned this rare treasure. Outside the dungeon, Kaito noticed others wielding flashy weapons, all dreaming of earning cash to buy black gear, but the slime-slaying gig barely paid only about 1,500 yen per mana stone sold. He asked Hitsugaya what a rare Valkyrie card might fetch on the market. She whispered a legend about a divine card once traded for 1 billion yen. That kind of money could let Kaito live comfortably forever without lifting a finger. Carrying the thought of 1 billion yen, he almost lost his mind. On his way out, he muttered non-stop about that insane fortune. Even in our advanced world, dungeon exploring remains a blazing hot career. Many kids dream from a young age to become adventurers. At that moment, Kaito bumped into 2 friends, Shinji and Hato. They joked, "Second best are demons, third are humans," teasing each other relentlessly. These 2 used to love dungeon crawling but got scared off after a goblin attacked them on the 2nd floor. Since then, they never dared to return, leaving Kaito to grind slimes alone on the 1st floor for 2 long years. Despite the hardship, one thing was clear. Kaito's passion burned endlessly. Who else could slay slimes for 2 years straight without losing their mind? Walking back through a familiar street, he passed by a girlfriend who lit up at the sight of him. She asked about his part-time work, and he shrugged, saying it was fine. He planned to sell the rare card to buy better gear and chase his dreams. The next morning, while heading to school, he ran into Haruka just as she stepped out of her house. They ended up walking together. As they strolled side by side, Kaito's heart fluttered with the simple joy of companionship, but beneath the surface, his mind raced with hopes and doubts would selling the card finally change his fate. Would this rare treasure open doors to adventures beyond the endless slime grind? The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in years a spark of excitement ignited his soul. No one else could match Kaito's relentless spirit 2 years trapped on the 1st floor, fighting the same weak slimes. But his dream wasn't just to survive, it was to rise, to break free from the dull cycle and find a life worth living. And maybe, just maybe, that tiny girl in the golden card was the key to unlocking a destiny far greater than he ever imagined. Walking close like this always draws attention. People probably think we're a couple. Kate feels a bit shy, wanting to step back, but his friend won't let him. She deliberately slows down to match strides with the person she loves, then casually asks where he was last night, coming home late. Caught off guard, he lies about hanging out with the guys just as Shinji and Hato approach. Kate quickly pulls them aside, asking for help to cover up for him. When it comes to working extra in the dungeon, the girl also questions the guys about what they did yesterday. Each gives a different answer, but Haruka instantly knows he was back in the dungeon. She's upset, angry, yet still cares deeply. In the end, she lets it slide. During break time, Men asks the 2 guys what they'd do if they got a rare card. Both agree, sell it for a fortune. Of course, he doesn't dare reveal he actually owns that rare card. Finding one is rarer than winning the lottery. Keeping it secret feels safer. After consulting his 2 friends, Kaito looks over at the beautiful Haruka and makes a bold decision. No longer sell the card, but but summon the lovely girl trapped inside it. Familiar with this place, he knows exactly where the cameras don't reach. His dream? To become the strongest heroine to protect Haruka too. To achieve that, he needs power from others. As he performs the summoning ritual, light floods everywhere, and he calls out to X-Fi. She immediately answers, appearing with a fierce, cool aura that fills Kaito with excitement, a presence larger than life. They share a moment, and X-Fi gently wraps her hand around her summoner before vanishing. When Kaito opens his eyes, she's gone. Suddenly, a little girl pokes him from below, freezing him in place for a moment, before introducing herself as Shin-Fi, summoned to answer her master's call. Men's dream shatters when he sees this tiny figure, thinking maybe trading the card for 1 billion yen would have been better. But this disappointment is bigger than the joy of initially receiving the card. Unexpectedly, after some recovery time, Shin-Fi transforms into a small but cute creature. That at least brings some comfort. Together, they set out to hunt slimes. Shin-Fi has the ability to sense monsters, making their search easier. Men is curious about her power, so he asks her to take down a nearby slime. Excited, Shin-Fi charges, striking it down with a thunderous blow that leaves Kaito stunned. She might be thousands of times stronger than him. After just one hit, Shin-Fi grumbles about being hungry, and her food is magical stones that let her keep fighting while eating. Kaito starts to understand her unique abilities. Because if she attacks continuously, she burns through massive energy. So, he asks her to find more slimes while he handles the kills. Together they farm tons of slimes, helping him level up and even earn the title Slime Slayer, which boosts his stats when fighting slimes. It's a bit of a letdown since the boost only works on first-floor monsters, but Shin-Fi cheers him on, happy about the level up. Grateful, Kaito thanks her and says goodbye, needing to head home. This saddens Shin-Fi, who wants to stay by her master's side longer. Kaito promises to summon her again tomorrow, which comforts her, as she slips back into the card. Taking out the magical stones, Kaito heads to the reception, where the clerk is shocked, probably the first time someone brought so many slime magical stones to sell. He lies, saying he found a slime hotspot, which is why he earned so much today, 15,000 yen. That night, Kaito stays up thinking about Shin-Fi's strength. Maybe raising her bigger means even better gains. He's tempted to try the second floor but still feels a bit scared. That night, memories of his childhood with Haruka Floodback, her father, was a skilled expedition captain aiming to unravel all the dungeon's mysteries. He and his team dared to go deeper than safety allowed. The next day, with money in hand, Kaito gears up, excited because it's their first time on floor 2. They cheer each other on as they cautiously advance. Halfway through, Kaito starts gasping for air, terrified. Seeing this, the adorable Shin-Fi worries, noticing his pale face and trembling limbs. To calm him, she takes his hand and smiles confidently. With newfound strength, Kaito steadies himself and thanks her, ready to push forward. Memories flash back to 2 years ago when he was beaten like a rag here. Shin-Fi senses monster energy nearby. Fear grips Kaito, and he wants to turn back. But visions of Haruka's father remind him of his promise to become a hero. Now, helped by Shin-Fi, he refuses to give up so easily. He pulls out his wooden sword, his weapon, and steels his resolve. Thanks to Shin-Fi, tracking monsters becomes easier. They spot a sleeping goblin. Kaito asks Shin-Fi to handle it, but before she can cast a spell, he steps forward to protect her, wanting to get used to fighting. He asks her to use magic if he's in danger. She agrees with a playful, okay. Then Kaito charges, slashing the ground to scare off the goblin. The goblin hesitates, wary of Kaito's attack, but counters with a swift blow. Kaito's wooden sword isn't enough to block it, and he's knocked back. Shin-Fi barely finishes her spell in time, and 2 mosquito spray bottles save him in the nick of time. Though the goblin isn't defeated, it's hurt badly. Kaito regains his sword and lunges again, but trips. Was that a dodge or a lucky stumble? Somehow, Kaito's wooden sword strikes the goblin's body, finally defeating it. Shin-Fi cheers, impressed by her master. Sito freezes, then bursts into tears, overwhelmed. She never imagined she could personally slay such a big monster. Shin-Fi praises him for being so cool, and promises to help more next time. After killing the goblin, Kaito levels up faster than expected. Fighting one goblin here feels like a year's worth of battling slimes. His new skill, Goblin Slayer, is a temporary boost for those who conquer their fear and defeat a goblin. It raises all stats by 10% against goblins, but it's a rare and luck-based skill, much weaker compared to others. Yet, it's a sign of growth, a small light in his journey through fear and strength. If you've ever felt powerless, think about how Kaito's courage pushed him forward, with Shin-Fi by his side. Sometimes, what we need isn't just strength, but someone who believes in you even if that someone is a tiny, unlikely companion. And as Kaito steps deeper into this world, facing monsters and doubts, his story reminds us, even the smallest victories can forge the strongest heroes. So, if you find yourself lost between fear and hope, remember this tale because sometimes a single spark is all it takes to light the way. Thanks for joining this adventure with me. Compared to the original, they had to tread carefully, never overconfident. The two brothers motivated each other, pushing forward to seek out another monster. This time, Shinfi offered to create a protective barrier. Like a well-oiled machine, they synchronized perfectly, defeating several more beasts and leveling up. Kate realized Shinfi lacked knowledge of this realm, but the one thing deeply ingrained in her little heart was an unwavering desire to help. Hearing this, he felt a warmth bloom inside. He was genuinely happy. What could be better than having a powerful teammate by your side? Shinfi earned the trust of her master, filling him with pride and joy. She continued guiding Kate toward the monsters. This time, he would be the shield, while Shinfi launched the attacks. Occasionally, he fed her treats, hoping she'd grow stronger and assist in even more ways. At the end of the day, they only dared bring back 4 magic stones, to sell too afraid to attract suspicion by becoming too powerful too fast. His sister was shocked by how quickly he improved, but he insisted it was just luck that helped him defeat those monsters. The next day, he still had to go to school but was too exhausted to sit up after yesterday's ordeal. Their mother advised him to know his limits, don't push too hard or risk falling ill. He arrived at school looking drained, which made Haruka worry. She asked if he had gone into the dungeon again, making Kate jump in surprise. Stammering, he denied it, saying he was just tired from overexerting himself, wanting to build some muscle, not anything dangerous. Haruka still wasn't convinced, scrutinizing his expression before finally giving up. She mentioned that if he was chasing a muscular image, he should stop, because she preferred him just the way he was, not too big. Meanwhile, in class, some girls were chatting about a new dungeon-related movie coming out, but the 3 boys couldn't care less. Their only interest was Kate's claim that he'd successfully defeated a goblin. Shinji and Hayato were stunned by the news. Turns out, Kate was more than just a guy who'd spent 2 years fighting slimes. They praised him, though it sounded almost like teasing. Who would have thought someone so ordinary could level up so fast? Kate expressed his desire to push deeper into the dungeon. He believed in himself now, so there was nothing to fear. Hearing this, they glanced at Haruka with a bored look. The two were close and everyone knew they were in love. Poor Haruka, her feelings for Kate were strong, but he paid her no mind. That evening they went back into the dungeon together just like before, their teamwork flawless. They wiped out countless goblins. After another day, he had enough money to upgrade to an iron staff to strike harder. The grind continued, silently morning classes with tired eyes, evenings spent eagerly battling monsters. At this point, he could defeat one on his own without relying on luck. His level had jumped to M rank. The strange part was that his health and energy stats barely increased. The new skill he gained was called Blessing of the Divine, a gift bestowed only upon those blessed by a god's favor and only if that god truly loved the bearer. Shinfi was precious to him, so all conditions for this skill were met. From now on, Kate was about to enter a game-breaking phase. With this blessing, leveling up would boost his stats dramatically. Even better, the more his beloved little sister adored him, the higher the chance of gaining extra bonuses. Understanding how this special skill worked, Kate's joy was boundless. Finally, he could step into the role of the main character. Everything was thanks to his adorable little sister. So, with deep gratitude, he bowed to Shinfi. She, of course, had no clue what was happening as her master knelt before her and he even called her precious. No additional content in original segment to rewrite. No additional content in original segment to rewrite. She hoped from now on to receive more help, and Shinfi was happy too. If anything's tough, just leave it to me, he said, because being called here meant to help her. The girl blushed, thinking her master was flirting with her. It was heartwarming to see the two finally come together like this. They pushed deeper into the dungeon, where this time the duo faced Scotona monster far from ordinary, a special breed whose entire body glowed fiercely. Without hesitation, Kaito charged in with reckless determination, blood boiling, because he was much stronger now. Shinfi stayed back, creating a protective barrier to keep the beast from getting to him. Kaito hammered blow after blow onto its head, but it barely flinched. This was no ordinary foe. As a special monster, it was many times stronger than the usual kind. Left with no choice, Kaito asked Shinfi to unleash a divine lightning strike to obliterate it. This time, the magic stone it dropped had a slightly different, deeper red hue. Just then, the adorable Shinfi claimed she was hungry. Kaito paused, wondering if the stone was valuable. It was expensive, and feeding it to her seemed wasteful. But since the reward was hers, he happily fed her, and she delighted in the treat. Truly, a rare gem to witness after eating, Shinfi praised how delicious it was. By day's end, Kaito asked his sister about the price of that red stone and learned it was worth 2 million yen. What a jackpot! Feeding such a treasure to Shinfi felt extravagant, but she encouraged Kaito to keep going after all. Encountering a rare Scotan once meant the next might be even better. Overwhelmed, Kaito felt like his soul had left his body from shock, a sadness lingering deep into the night. Yet, without Shinfi's monster tracking, he might have never found such a rare prey. So, he decided to fish with a simple trap to catch some perch for now. If Shinfi grew stronger, monster hunting would be faster and easier. Kaito planned to descend to the 3rd floor next, having grown accustomed to the monsters on the 2nd floor. Still, he hesitated, having heard that the 3rd floor was infested with unusually dangerous creatures. For now, the descent was postponed. Kaito informed Shinfi about this, wanting to temporarily handle monster battles alone so he wouldn't rely too much on her. But Shinfi protested, thinking her master didn't love her anymore. She was reassured when Kaito said she was never a burden and agreed not to intervene in his fights anymore. He trusted her deeply and considered her not just a helper but a beloved little sister. Shinfi didn't look pleased with being called just a sister, but accepted it silently, secretly wishing she could be called my love instead. As they grew closer, Kaito asked if he could call her Shin, and she agreed happily. It felt more intimate. Meeting a master who cared and loved her so genuinely made her truly happy. Seeing Shinfi so joyful, Kaito finally exhaled in relief. At first, he had feared she might refuse. Just as their moment grew tender, suddenly a goblin approached, challenging Kaito to a duel. Perfect timing. Kaito wanted to fight alone, so he charged headfirst, like a bull, unarmed. But this goblin was stronger than others, and after the fight, Kaito lost an arm, a devastating injury. Bringing this wound home would cause big trouble, so he had to spend money on high-grade healing potions. After this battle, he realized he needed stronger weapons and healing supplies to prepare for worse scenarios, but his funds were tight, so he resorted to farming slim monsters to save money. Sharing this with his 2 friends made them laugh, teasing Kaito for taking a step back. Haruka overheard and asked if he was going back to the dungeon again. The truth was, he went every day, never skipping a meal. Haruka, innocent as ever, was easily fooled and let it slide. That day, Kaito gathered many magic stones from slims enough to feed Shinfi and buy some gear. Suddenly, Shinfi sensed a strange monster's aura. Looking closer, it was a silver slim. Kaito thought his divine blessing brought him luck. Encountering such a rare monster was a gift. The duo surrounded it and successfully defeated it. Unexpectedly, they received a card looking sleek and expensive. Checking its stats, Kaito saw the girl in the picture was a countess demon. He wondered if summoning a demon would cause trouble. Shinfi seemed uncomfortable, but left the decision to her master. Kaito didn't want to sell the card. Summoning both gods and demons felt overwhelmingly powerful. The summoning ritual began calling out the name, Leria. A fierce surge of dark power erupted, reminiscent of when Shinfi was summoned. The elegant woman appeared, towering and beautiful, mesmerizing Kaito so much he was almost hypnotized by her presence. Yet, she transformed into a small girl, just like Shinfi now, which dampened Kaito's spirits. Though he had anticipated this, he still hoped to summon the stunning woman from the card's portrait. She introduced herself as Luceria, an aristocratic demon countess. The contrast was striking. While Shinfi was sweet and obedient, Luceria carried an arrogant air. Kaito introduced himself, but Luceria mocked him, calling him weak and foolish, a harsh blow to his heart. Shinfi didn't dare offend their new companion and asked her not to use such words against their master. Luceria laughed, teasing that she was just being a little devilish, the true face of evil. If she were too nice, she'd be an angel instead. Kaito introduced Shinfi to Luceria as well, which delighted the demon countess, who eagerly inspected Shinfi and joked she resembled Valkyrie. Indeed, she was Valkyrie. Luceria cheerfully mentioned she was the master's first demon and looked forward to helping out. Then, she demanded food, already hungry despite just arriving. Kaito felt overwhelmed. It was like having a child already. Just then, Shinfi spotted another slim monster. Luceria immediately attacked, unleashing fiery hellfire destruction straight at it. Her power was massive, but the poor monster was utterly destroyed. Our protagonist was incredibly lucky to find such a rare pair. Together they trapped and defeated the beast, but instead of treasure, what he received was a sleek, glossy card. Checking its stats, he realized the girl in the image was the demon Suzaku. In his mind, he wondered, what if he summoned a demon himself? Ex-Fee seemed reluctant but still left the decision to her master. Kate, however, was determined not to sell it. Summoning both gods and demons, that's the true power move. The summoning ritual began, and he called out the name Leria. Instantly, a fierce dark energy erupted, reminiscent of the time X-Fi was summoned. The girl appeared in a towering body, strikingly beautiful. Kate was enchanted, caught off guard by such breathtaking charm. Yet, she transformed into a small, delicate girl just like the current X-Fi, which left his mood sinking deeply. Even though he had anticipated this, he still hoped to summon a beauty like the one in the card's picture. She introduced herself again as Leria, a Suzaku-class demon. Her sweet girl image was shattered inside. She was far more arrogant than X-Fi. Kate also introduced his age, but was considered an unreliable master because he seemed too weak, and honestly, a bit clueless. That comment stung, but X-Fi didn't dare offend the newcomer, and only asked her not to speak harshly to their master. Leria chuckled, calling herself a bit sharp-tongued, and insisted that's what being a demon is about. If she were too nice, she'd be an angel. Kate introduced X-Fi to the new companion, which delighted Leria. She even teased that X-Fi looked like Valkyrie, and, indeed, it was Valkyrie. Cheerfully, she said she was also Valkyrie's subordinate and hoped to be of assistance. Okay, then give me something to eat, I'm starving. Kate, still new to this whole master role, already demanding food? That's not quite right. Just then, X-Fi spotted a slim monster, and Leria immediately jumped in to show her skills to earn some food. She favored offense, unleashing a hellfire destruction blast straight at the slim. Her destructive power was impressive, but she was a bit wild. After eating, she demanded more, even though they had only defeated one monster so far. She called Kate a stingy master, but he stayed calm, wanting to see all of Leria's abilities before feeding her again. The next test subject was a goblin. As it charged, it was melted away by a wolf's breath attack, truly terrifying. X-Fi couldn't even watch the end because the ritual was so brutal. True to his promise, Kate fed Leria again. She then proposed going deeper to collect rare magic stones. He hesitated, but Leria had already made up her mind, putting him in a tough spot. Being a gentle soul, he couldn't scold her for disobedience. He explained that the third floor had stronger monsters, and since he still lacked new weapons, he needed to shop first. When he asked if she knew anything about the dungeon, she admitted complete ignorance, yet she was willing to volunteer to go. Such audacity! It was already late, so he decided to postpone the plan until tomorrow. Initially, she resisted, but X-Fi's advice convinced her to agree. The scene shifts to the next day. Kate had acquired new weapons and confidently stepped into the third floor. With two powerful allies by his side, his confidence soared. X-Fi praised her master's weapon choice, but Leria dismissed it as childish gear. The first monsters they encountered were hog houses, not just one, but two. Kate aimed and took down one, but missed the shot and was immediately attacked. This segment ends abruptly in the original, so the rewrite stops here. Cut to the next day, Kaito steps into the fray, with new weapons in hand, boldly venturing into the third floor. With two powerful allies by his side, his confidence blooms like a warrior's dawn. Shinfi praises his gear, calling it a perfect fit, but Luceria scoffs, dismissing it as child's play. Their first foe? Not one, but two fierce boar bosses. Kaito aims carefully and fells one, but misses on the second, immediately triggering a counterattack. Fi wields the spear to weave protective barriers, while Lucia's deadly duty is to annihilate enemies. But there's a catch: she must consume demon crystals to unleash her power. With ease, she slays both beasts in one fell swoop, yet when it's time for rewards, only a single crystal is granted. Fi, ever strict, forbids her from gobbling more, warning that if she indulges with every kill, what's the point of hunting monsters at all? A tough dilemma for sure. This time, two white bosses monsters wrapped in raw power charge fiercely. Luceria strikes first, slaying one with precision. The surviving beast barrels forward, forcing men to shoot despite taking a hit to the eye. Still, the boar's relentless strength pushes it onward. Seeing this, Shinfi prepares a skillful counterattack, but fate intervenes. Kaito, staggering, lands the final shot. The victory propels him to level 11. Shinfi offers congratulations while the ravenous little demon remains fixated on food. Today, a troubling thought creeps into Kaito's mind: if this keeps up, it won't end well. The girl's endless hunger and insolence, refusing to respect her master, gnaws at him. On the way home, his mind races, tangled in these worries, until a passing female team's chatter catches his earth. They've reached the 6th floor, thanks to flawless teamwork. The next day at school, Kaito yearns for his own team to unite and conquer deeper floors. Shinji and Hayato, sensing his smile, ask what's so funny. They're stressed about grades and entrance exams, a world Kaito hasn't yet faced amidst recent chaos. Hearing their worries, Haruka asks which school Kaito hopes to enter. He hesitates, then flips the question she wants to join Oka Academy. Her dream is clear, but more than that, she wants to stay by his side. Kaito, caught off guard, admits he hasn't picked a school but secretly hopes for the same. Her joy lights up the room. The thought of attending together, from kindergarten to now, sparks dreams of someday sharing a home and learning the art of life as partners. Sito watches, puzzled by her happiness, wondering what he's missing while his two friends openly reveal their feelings, oblivious to it all. Back in the dungeon, Men pushes forward with Luceria still leading the charge. Each victory earns praise, and Sin Fi, unwilling to be outdone, joins the fray. Together, they sweep through the third floor's monsters without a single hitch, the only thorn in Kaito's side. Luceria's insatiable appetite for mana stones, sometimes more than one per kill, sparking jealousy in Shinfi. Her generosity leaves the master's rewards at her mercy. Days pass, and Shinfi's behavior shifts. Kaito notices, but is met with evasive answers. His concern deepens until, on the way home, a news report mirrors their situation, a newcomer with a cold attitude stirring trouble. Kito's fear rises. If they don't act soon, the consequences could be dire. The bonds among them tighten against the dungeon's darkness, but shadows loom. Every monster slain is a step forward, yet also a test of loyalty and trust. Kaito stands at a crossroads, not just fighting beasts, but the growing storm within his team. Will he find the strength to lead, or will the hunger for power tear them apart? In this world where every victory tastes like a bittersweet reward, Kaito's journey is more than survival. It's about forging connections that defy the abyss, facing betrayals that shake the soul, and learning that sometimes the greatest battles are within. As the shadows deepen, the question remains: can their fragile alliance withstand the coming storm? Keeping those two girls from clashing was crucial. If they fought, everything would crumble. This dilemma haunted Kaito through the night, stealing his sleep as he searched for a solution. The next morning, exhausted but determined, he headed to school where Haruka came to check on him. She sensed his troubles and offered advice. Touched yet hesitant, he lied, spinning a tale about Shinji and Hato, two girls with opposing personalities who he was trying to help reconcile. Kaito wrestled with how to bring harmony between them. Haruka, sensing his uncertainty, asked if he had confronted the girl directly. Sometimes, the quickest answers come from honest questions. Taking her advice, that evening he summoned only Shinfi, hoping to talk privately. Shinfi was thrilled, imagining a confession from her master, but the mood shifted when Kaito asked her feelings about Luceria. The question hit like a cold splash, and the joy faded. Kaito bluntly asked if Shinfi disliked Luceria. Playing innocent, she said no, though at first she was scared. She grew fond of her over time. Encouraged, he pressed if there was anything else troubling her. Shinfi, shy yet sincere, revealed her heart. The master always treated Luceria kindly and fed her well. She longed for the same. Realization dawned on Kaito: he wasn't playing favorites. Luceria's stubbornness forced his hand, but Shinfi's quiet jealousy stung. Understanding this, Kaito promised Balance would give Shinfi equal magical stones and spend more time with her. The relief that washed over Shinfi was palpable. Later, after farming monsters, Kaito kept his word, feeding them equally, but praised Shinfi's strength more, sparking playful envy from Luceria. The rare moment of harmony filled the air with warmth. Their bond was growing stronger, turning the hunt into a joyous dance of progress. As Shinfi gained experience and leveled up, her stats soared, delighting the trio. Kaito eagerly tested her newfound power against a monster pack. Shinfi's barrier had grown sturdier, absorbing attacks without cracking, a fortress of defense, allowing Kaito to strike freely. After toppling a wild boar for experience, Kaito's generosity shined. He shared nearly all the feast with his sisters. Luceria, still hungry, surprised him, revealing her growing appetite. Growth wasn't just power, it was hunger too. Returning with loot, Kaito had only 2 magic stones, left, a far cry from before when he brought back dozens. The receptionist's curiosity was met with silence. Kaito kept his secret of feeding 2 ravenous mouths. The next day, he farmed alone, refusing help from his sisters. Letting them fight drained too much energy. No amount of food could fill that void. Luceria pleaded for a chance to assist, but Kaito insisted on going solo. Shinfi, ever loyal, loved being summoned just to cheer him on. Though not fighting, Shinfi's presence was a balm. Kaito felt heartened by their support, pushing through hardships. Luceria eagerly learned from his guidance, vowing to cheer him on too. Recently, Kaito's hunting yielded only magic stones from slimy monsters. When asked, he admitted a need to reassess himself. His sister advised, with his current strength, he could venture to floor 4. Excited, Kaito researched new gear but winced at the steep prices. He'd need to craft many potions to afford it. Luck smiled that day as Kaito discovered a rare slim monster. Hoping to get a rare card, he enlisted his sister's help. They cast spells in unison, successfully defeating the beast. Kaito rushed to claim the prize, expecting treasure, but found a magic orb, a rare artifact that transforms its user into a mage. Desperate to become a magician, Kaito shattered it and unlocked a water element spell. His sisters cheered, eager to test his new power immediately. Spotting a dog, Kaito asked his sisters to back him up if things went awry. The animal lunged, snapping fiercely. Kaito launched a modest water orb at its face, not enough to harm, but enough to snap it out of aggression. Luceria stepped in to finish the threat, leaving Kaito both grateful and frustrated. Shinfi comforted him, praising his first success and encouraging gradual growth. Luceria found the water magic handy, no need to buy bottled water anymore. Kaito wasn't sure whether to laugh or cry. That evening, seated in the park, Kaito brooded over his clumsy magic. Haruka happened by and stopped to check on him. She was prepping for exams and thanked him for taking her advice. It had resolved his troubles. But then she noticed his earlier fibrillizing Kaito had been dodging an honest question meant for himself. Feeling cornered, Kaito kept lying. Haruka sighed, resigned. Kaito couldn't read her emotions. Was she upset or jealous? Then dismissed the thought, convinced Haruka wouldn't envy him. A few days after entering the dungeon, Kaito trained diligently, struggling with slow progress. His water orbs barely traveled far, and his energy drained quickly. Shinfi cheered him on as always, but he remained stuck, retreating home to rest. In the following days, he seized every free moment to practice. Gradually, his control improved. He could now shoot precise water spheres. Fueled by the dream of becoming like Haruka's father, Kaito refused to quit. His goal, to shape water magic into diverse forms. Despite small victories, exhaustion overwhelmed him, and he fainted climbing back to an upper floor. Colliding face first with someone, Kaito was lucky they were forgiving, offering only a warning. They cautioned against passing out in the dungeon, it was deadly. They acknowledged Kaito's relentless effort, admiring his spirit despite having no strength left. Perhaps, they mused, Kaito was a shining example to others, a beacon of perseverance in a ruthless world. After spotting a dog, he quickly summoned his two sisters for help. The creature lunged with a menacing growl, but he seized the moment. Channeling his energy, he conjured a modest water sphere and hurled it at the beast's face, rousing it from its slumber, though it dealt hardly any damage. Realizing this, Leria stepped in to eliminate the threat, leaving her master in disappointment once more. He sighed, wishing he had just sold the beast instead. He joked that if he managed to earn a few $100 million, Sinfai would definitely cheer him on, emphasizing that using magic was a feat in itself. As for its power, he'd just have to improve gradually. Leria pointed out how convenient that spell was, saving him money on bottled water. Kaito, upon hearing this, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That evening he sat in the park, contemplating the inadequacies of his magic. By chance, Haruka passed by and asked him what was troubling him. As they walked home, he learned that she was attending extra classes to prepare for an upcoming exam. He thanked her for the advice she offered the other day, which had helped him resolve his issues. At this moment, she realized that his previous question was actually directed towards himself, and it made him feel quite sad. As he continued to weave lies, Ruka could only accept the situation, feeling helpless. Kaito remained oblivious to her underlying frustration. After a while, he began to wonder if she might be a bit jealous, similar to Sinfi, but after a moment of reflection, he dismissed that thought, thinking it was impossible for Haruka to feel envious of him. Days later, after arriving at the dungeon, Kaito diligently practiced his water magic. Unfortunately, progress was painfully slow, as he still couldn't launch a water sphere very far. His energy levels were low, and after just a few uses, he was already exhausted. Sinfai, as always, cheered him on, encouraging her master wholeheartedly. Yet, he still wasn't making any significant progress, so he returned home to rest. In the following days, he seized every spare moment to practice, gradually becoming more proficient at launching his water sphere accurately. With the determination to become someone like Haruka's father, he refused to give up. This time, he aimed to transform the water sphere into various shapes. He achieved some minor successes, continuously improving his skills, but fatigue often overwhelmed him, causing him to faint. When he returned upstairs, he stumbled and accidentally fell face first onto the floor. Luckily, the others were understanding and simply reminded him to be careful and not faint in the dungeon, as it could be quite dangerous. They admired his efforts, recognizing how hard he had worked, even if he was left completely drained. Perhaps he was a shining example for them all. The next morning, Kaito drags himself to class only to fall asleep again, earning a stern reminder from the teacher. His two friends, knowing the grueling training he's been enduring, ask casually. Kaito answers nonchalantly about what happened in the dungeon, unaware that Haruka overheard every word. Luckily, he lies that he's been busy with dance lessons, which makes her let it slide for that afternoon. The young man presses on, practicing water magic to defeat monsters. This time, he succeeds, making his companions sigh in relief since Kaito's water magic had been stuck for a while, not leveling up. Thinking it's safer to head to the 4th floor, he plans to sell his recent loot to buy some cool gear. The next day, Kaito shows up wearing a sleek, form-fitting outfit that makes Syria gag. He insists it's expensive and packed with functions. Fi showers him with compliments. As long as he likes it, that's all that matters. This gear can even block arrows and has a bracelet that boosts magic efficiency, letting Kaito cast more spells without draining his energy. The introduction was a bit dull, though. The little demon girl drags her friend to another spot, heading down to the 4th floor. The space here feels slightly different, and even the angel senses something off, something that sends a chill down their spine. Suddenly, a gigantic beetle bursts out, frightening the two girls so much they bolt away. Unbelievably, Kaito is left alone. Why? Simply because they are girls, naturally scared of such creatures. Even though the bugs pose no real threat, it's instinct to run. When they return, Fi rushes over, apologizing for leaving him behind. Syria loudly claims she's not scared, but her trembling betrays her. Kaito holds no grudges. Thanks to them, he's made it all the way to the 5th floor. It turns out he had been fighting alone, gathering loads of magic stones. Now, the two girls scold him for eating without sharing. Their dislike of insects seems to have even ruined their appetite. On this 5th floor, there aren't many bugsonly giant creatures. Kaito tries shooting his crossbow but is shocked to find it does no damage. Physical attacks don't work here, so Luceria steps in with her hellfire chain, incinerating 2 monsters instantly. It seems Kaito can't do much on this floor and must rely on his 2 comrades. After defeating some monsters, the little demon demands to eat, but seeing the pile of dark magic stones, she changes her mind. With no choice, they retreat from this floor. On the way back, Fi senses something hidden within the wall. Unsure of what it is, Kaito lets her investigate. As she said, behind the wall lies another room, something rare and unexpected. Confident there's treasure inside, Kaito decides to enter, but warns the others about traps on the floor. No sooner had he finished speaking than Luceria steps on one. Fearing for her safety, Kaito shields her, and though she isn't fatally hurt, the pain is real. This time, Kaito is smarter, ignoring Luceria's footsteps on traps and dodging himself. But then, he accidentally triggers another trap and gets electrocuted, his clothes singed and charred. It looked like he was done for, but luckily, his electric-resistant outfit saved him. Physical damage is useless here. Lucia must step in. With her blazing inferno barrage, the 2 monsters vanish into smoke. But it seems on this floor, Fi is powerless, forced to lean on the duo. After the battle, the little demon demands more crystals, but seeing the pile of dark stones, she relents. With no other choice, they retreat from this cursed level. On their way back, Fi senses something hidden deep within the wall. It's mysterious enough that Kate lets Lucia investigate. True to her words, beyond the wall lies a secret Chamberan anomaly, but surely filled with rare treasures. The young man decides to enter, warning the others about traps below. But before he finishes, Lucia accidentally steps on one. Fearing she'd get hurt, Kate shields her. She's not dead, but clearly in pain. They press on, wiser this time. When Lucia steps on a trap again, she dodges swiftly, only to shock herself with an electric jolt, charred but alive. Luckily, her insulating clothes save her life. The little demon fiercely guards her master, masking her fear with a brave front. Ahead looms a menacing door, a gateway to unknown danger. As they try to leave, the two block the exit. This rare chance to explore mustn't be wasted. Pushing open the door, they barely muster strength. So Fi takes charge, smashing through just in time to escape if things go south. Inside, 2 monstrous beasts await, massive, terrifying, their power unknown. Escape is impossible now, but Lucia's thrill for battle ignites. Under orders from Min, they launch a deadly combo strike, a masterstroke meant to seize advantage, yet it barely wounds the hulking creature. Enraged, it retaliates. Thankfully, Fi's steadfast barriers hold strong, shielding them. Lucia is tasked with taking down a giant slime above, creatures notoriously weak to fire magic. Physical attacks still work, so Fi readies his crossbow. But ammo is limited. Arrows can't finish it off alone. Overwhelmed, the slime goes berserk. Lucia urges haste, warning it's no ordinary beast. Kate switches tactics, fusing magic with his gear to freeze the creature bit by bit. With only 3 shots left and his MP almost drained, inspiration strikes. She reimagines his spell, channeling devastating power, finally slaying one foe. Meanwhile, the slime dominates the little demon, so Kate rushes in for backup. Together, they fight fiercely. Lucia blocks the slime, allowing Fi to pierce it with his divine spear. Victory seems near, but the monster barely bleeds and Kate suffers wounds. Thoughts of retreat flicker, but his dreams fuel reckless courage. The slime, slowed by recovery, is vulnerable. Fi conjures barriers as Kate employs a mosquito spray-like potion to drain its health gradually, a surprisingly effective tactic against even rare slimes. After some time, the beast succumbs, drugged and defeated. The trio rejoices. This is their first triumph over 2 bosses. To soothe his pain, Kate drinks a newly acquired healing potion. At the same moment, Lucia levels up, growing stronger, while Kate gains several levels too. From their spoils, they claim a massive crimson stone. The slime drops a high-tier demon sword, though comically small, more like a fruit peeler than a deadly blade. Still, it's marked as a demon weapon. Back at the shop, Kate is amazed he could find and conquer monsters in the secret 5th floor. The demon crystals sell for a handsome price, bringing joy and relief. His sister updates him on an upcoming event. At floor 7, teams of 4 must band together to compete, a rare chance to level up and strengthen bonds. But first, Kate must clear floor 6. Days later, while registering, he reunites with 3 girls from before, who share the same rank number. Naturally, they form a team. Today, Haruka dreams of her father, recalling how he often ventured into dungeons. Returning late, something tragic happened, leaving her heart heavy. She wants to visit Kate, but last time he lied about being at dance practice, which she believed, so she hesitates to bother him. Now, Kate and the new teammates dive into the event. Amidst a sea of hopeful challengers, few use teleportation, so anxiety simmers. Moving forward, a guide directs them to floor 7. This dungeon race lasts just 3 hours. If they want rewards, they must push hard. Floor 7 features shops to resupply, convenient for adventurers. Kate alone hauls a massive backpack, while the girls wield magical pouches worth as much as apartments. Kate realizes they're pampered heiresses, gifted by their fathers. They praise his gear, crafted through sheer grit and grind. With preparations complete, the quartet sets off. Eerie leads as the damage dealer, with the others in supportive roles. Kate focuses on scouting for monsters. The floor's boss is a golem, known to be tough. Armed with knowledge, they feel cautiously confident. Suddenly, strange sounds echo ahead. Not monsters, but elite dungeon cleaners keepers who maintain order. The adventurers gathered supplies to boost their gear. Truly convenient, only men had to lug around a massive backpack. The other 3 ladies each possessed magical bags, worth as much as an apartment. Kaito finally realized these girls were the type of heiresses whose fathers bought everything for them. They even praised Main's gear as pretty solid, though unlike them, he had to grind every coin himself. After earning the funds and preparing, the 4 set off as a team. Eri took the lead as the main damage dealer, while the other 3 supported from the backline. Kaito focused intently on scouting monsters. They knew the boss on floor 7 was a golem, a tough nut to crack. Having researched all available info, they felt fairly confident. Suddenly, strange noises appeared ahead, at first thought to be monsters on patrol. But Noth figures were elite dungeon staff tasked with keeping the place spotless. The group started exchanging details about their skills and levels. Ari was level 18, 2 levels above men. Hikari was level 15, matching Mick. The only difference? That tiny girl boasted a whopping 75 HP, double Kaito's stats. Then, the earth beneath them trembled. The dirt and rocks morphed into a full-fledged golem, its defense nearly impenetrable. Eri shouted for everyone to prepare to support each other in battle. Hikari would cast spells while Mick protected her. Men stood ready to back up the girls if needed. Instantly, the small girl charged, slashing repeatedly at the beast. It was tough, but after all, it was just earth and stone. Eventually, it would fall. Watching this, Kaito was stunned. They barely had to lift a finger. The 2 girls seemed used to this routine. The items dropped from the event remained unchanged, just magical stones from floor 7. Then another monster appeared, far stronger than the last, covered in gleaming bronze. Hikari cast a spell to freeze it in place, buying time. Taking advantage, Mick summoned a wind elemental beast from her cards. Though wind attacks barely scratched the golem, it distracted the creature long enough for the mage to weave a continuous spell, melting the enemy. Seizing the moment, Eri dashed in to deliver the final blow with ease. Men, still sidelined, watched in awe. His friends were absolutely killing it. Before they could celebrate, another monster arrived, this one tougher and made of iron, making their weapons useless. The fierce girl took a hit from the beast, but pressed on with a full-force strike, which barely made a dent. Fire magic only pushed it back slightly, while Miku's wind beast fared worse, barely landing any attacks before having to retreat. They were stuck. With no options left, Kaito thought about summoning Jisin, Fi, and Leria. Then, suddenly, the dagger that dropped from the boss last time caught his attention. He'd researched it and learned this weapon dealt damage based on the wielder's imagination. So, he called on his 3 friends for support, planning to summon the others only if this failed. First, Hikari was asked to create mud to trap the Iron Beast and divert its attention. Seizing the moment, Kaito imagined himself stabbing right through the monster's body just as he pictured. It exploded into pieces. The girls were thrilled. Kaito was overjoyed finally, a weapon that meant he'd never run out of damage. His teammates asked if it was the legendary magic sword Bandak, since they had heard about it before. After leaving the dungeon, the group gathered to talk about Miku's item. It truly was amazing, and they even praised Kaito for being cool. The magic sword's power was impressive, but without quick thinking and a solid plan, their victory wouldn't have been possible. The young man also complimented Miku's wind beast rarely seen on camera, which was why no footage of it existed for sharing. Still, even with its rarity, Miku's companion paled compared to Hikari and Miku's own summons. Perhaps because officials lacked info on Jisin-Fi and Leria, no one asked about them. Miku had bought her card from the black market, and it was well known. Eri had already talked to the girls and invited Kaito to officially join their team. Their goal remained to conquer deeper dungeon floors. Every 5 floors there was a teleport gate, and now they aimed for the 11th floor. Kaito felt uneasy. He was just an ordinary explorer, unlike the girls, but they didn't mind. Being normal isn't a bad thing, Hikari said, feeling safer with him around. She even worried about the 2 girls being caught wandering with him. They might have been taken away. So, she hesitated, asking for more time to think. Jail wasn't a game. Knowing Kaito might be hiding something, they didn't pressure him. When he made a decision, they told him to reach out. The next day, Kaito returned to the dungeon, only to be scolded fiercely by Jisin-Fi and Leria for daring to hang out with strange girls and leaving them behind. And now he even talked about forming a team. Completely unacceptable. They grilled him hard. What did they answer? The little angel thinks that 3 people are already more than enough, and the little devil agrees it makes perfect sense. No need to add anyone else. Then, this little one even got jealous when the girl was called by a nickname by the guy and wanted the same just to feel closer, so Kaito had to go along with her. Honestly, who's the master here? It feels like they're all just following the whims of these 2 kids. Next week will tell. Haruka asked how Kaito's dance training was going. He lied as usual, saying it was fine. This girl, with her Saturday free, wanted to invite him out. She noticed he had been distant lately, so when he agreed and asked if she wanted to shop or something, she immediately thought it was a date pure joy as she rushed off without a word. Seeing her like that, Kaito was quietly happy. Meanwhile, their 2 friends overheard the couple's plans and wished them well. Everyone could see Haruka's feelings for this guy had been there for a long time except him. Clueless as always. Truly hopeless. When asked about the event the other day, Kaito revealed he went with 3 girls, one a university student 2 years older, and the other 2 around his age, one slightly younger. Hearing this, their friends broke into a sweat. This guy's luck was off the charts, but he had no clue how to use it. They even considered returning to the dungeon, hoping to find love there. Transition to Saturday morning. As planned, the couple went out. On the way, Kaito spotted an ad for the dungeon and stopped to watch. His friend asked if he liked the dungeon, and he admitted he'd put that aside for now, wanting this outing to be perfect. It had been a long time since they spent time like this together. He recalled childhood days when her father took them on many trips, so she invited him to watch a movie and show everything. Kaito, innocent and sincere, complimented her outfit, calling it cute. Haruka then asked which outfit was the best, and after a long pause, he picked one. The weather was on their side, making her happy. Watching her from behind, Kaito was a little dazed. They rented a boat and floated out on the lake. Surrounded by couples, Kaito realized this felt like a real date. But after 5 seconds, he told himself not to get carried away. This was just shopping. Haruka saw him getting dreamy and didn't know what to say. Seeing Kaito so self-absorbed, Haruka was at a loss. But Mena, the devilish one, thought maybe this was the magic of dance, and ZM training. Spending time together like this was truly refreshing for her spirit. This made Kaito think he should take her out more often. Back on shore, they each got a milk tea, and casually swapped drinks without any awkwardness. Kaito even praised the flavor. Haruka blushed slightly. It was like an indirect kiss. She enjoyed this one-sided date until late afternoon. When leaving, they saw a father holding his child, and suddenly she wanted to go somewhere else. Kaito agreed to follow her, and they ended up at the Adventurers Guild to watch a parade rumored to have fireworks. But what she truly wanted, only she understood. She wondered where her father was now, deep underground perhaps. He had promised to come home early for dinner that day, but years had passed without him returning. This left Haruka with a bitter feeling toward the dungeon, which was why she forbade Kaito from going there, afraid she'd lose someone she loved, just like before. Kaito, on the other hand, wanted to grow stronger to reunite with her father. Unfortunately, Kaito and the three beautiful girls got caught in a dungeon disaster. Somehow, on the 8th floor, a terrifyingly powerful dinosaur appeared. Witnessing its majesty, Hikari and Miku fell into despair. They tried to escape, but fighting was their only option. However, this creature was far beyond their current strength. Kaito desperately joined with Iri to land a finishing blow, but it barely scratched the beast. Worse, they were thrown aside and trapped. Meina decided to summon the twin sisters, Luceria and Exvi, who arrived promptly, taking orders from Kaito to eliminate the monster. For these two, this dinosaur was no more than a mere nuisance. They combined their magic, unleashing a spell called Heaven and Earth's Annihilation, vaporizing the poor creature. The heroes were saved. Back to earlier that day, Kaito returned to the dungeon with Luceria and Exvi. He had just devised a way to craft magical weapons by freezing water magic on a blade. He doubted its effectiveness, but was pleasantly surprised. He named the new weapon the Ice Magic Sword, which thrilled the little angel. The little devil scoffed, but Kaito dared not argue. When asked about joining other teams, he admitted being invited by 3 girls. Exvi suspected he was making excuses to avoid using up their magic stones and accused him of lying. She even threatened to send him straight to hell. The poor guy was terrified and insisted he wouldn't join them anymore. Only then did the cute little angel beg for mercy and agreed to let him join the other girls' party. After all, it was the master's wish. How could she refuse? Luceria consented on the condition that he feed them regularly as before and explain why he wanted to form a party with others. Honestly, he said, it was to improve his combat skills. Otherwise, the 2 girls would outpace him. They were strong from the start and still growing. He didn't want to rely solely on them, but truly wanted to develop himself. Hearing this, Exvi and Luceria finally understood and gave their full support. Back home, Kaito hadn't even called the girls to ask about joining yet when suddenly Haruka called. He answered, and she had something to say. But Kaito, as always, lied, claiming she was asking how to stay calm when calling girls like Shinji and Hato. Haruka paused, then shared how she once lost confidence to standing in front of thousands, playing the piano, yet feeling so shy. At that moment, her father comforted her by gently cupping her cheeks, passing on strength. Kaito joyfully forgot he was lying, and declared he could call anyone now, without even asking what she wanted to say. What a mess. Alongside men, they summoned the twin maidens, Luceria and Exvi, who appeared instantly, ready to follow Kaito's command to annihilate the monster. For these 2, even a dinosaur was just a name. Together, they chanted a spell combining the destructive powers of heaven and earth, vaporizing the unlucky creature. Freed from danger, their master's journey rewound to earlier that day. Kaito returned to the dungeon with Luceria and Exvi. He devised a new weapon imbuing water magic onto a blade and freezing it in place. Doubting its effectiveness, he was surprised when this combo proved powerful. He named his creation the Ice Demon Sword, much to the delight of his angelic younger sister. The mischievous demon girl, however, wasn't impressed, though Kaito wisely kept quiet. They asked about his prior involvement with another team. Mid-conversation, he explained that the 3 girls invited him to join their party. Exvi suspected he was making excuses, thinking he feared they'd consume all the magic stones and so avoided using them. She even threatened to send their master straight to hell. The poor guy was so scared he almost wet himself. Finally, he gave up and refused to join them after all. When the youngest showed mercy to that adorable little sister, he agreed to let him join the trio's party. This was the master's wish. How could Luceria possibly refuse? She reluctantly agreed on one condition. He must be fed regularly, just like before. Also, he had to explain why he wanted to form a party with others. Honestly, he said he wanted to improve his combat skills by teaming up. Otherwise, he feared he'd be left behind by the 2 girls. Those 2 sisters were already strong from the start and still growing. He didn't want to rely solely on their strength, so he genuinely wanted to develop himself more. Hearing this, Phi and Luceria finally understood and wholeheartedly supported him. Returning home, the young man, clueless about how to call a girl and ask to join, suddenly got a call. It was Haruka, and he picked up. She had something to say, but the young man asked first, lying that he was calling on behalf of Shinji and Hato, asking how to keep calm when calling a girl. Hearing this, she pondered a bit and shared that she used to lose confidence too. Once she had to perform in front of thousands but felt shy. At that moment, her father comforted her by gently stroking her cheeks, passing on calmness. The young man was overjoyed, forgetting he was lying. He claimed he could now call people without hesitation and didn't even ask what she wanted to say. What a jerk. Meanwhile, Iri was diligently practicing sword magic. when Kaito called. He asked if Eri had decided yet. Eri agreed but requested to join only on weekends, since weekdays were for the two little sisters. She got the okay since everyone was busy anyway. The next day, the four of them continued their journey together, but noticed an astonishing change in the young man. He challenged two monsters to a solo fight, leaving the other three to handle the rest. He created an ice sword and charged forward, easily slicing down a slow-moving golem. The second monster was quickly dealt with as well. Miku summoned a wind spirit to attack, taking down her target. Hikari used magic to immobilize a monster, allowing Eri to strike it down. They were amazed that he could blend magic into his weaponza technique, unlike any solo player's style. To avoid revealing that secret, Kaito quickly changed the subject, praising Eri's sword magic skills as truly formidable. She revealed she'd been using a naginata since childhood, so it was like an extension of her body. Feeling hungry, he invited everyone to eat before heading out. Lying on his bed, he reflected on their meal. What a feast! Those rich kids even brought tables and chairs. Meanwhile, he was dirt poor, with no possessions except two little sisters worth billions. The next day, the group was ready to descend to the 8th floor. Fearing water dangers there, the young man had bought equipment in advance. He also bought a magic gun designed specifically for underwater monsters. As they stepped onto the 8th floor, the little spirit beasts went ahead, and Miku's slash ability, like IR's, could sense monsters but within a smaller range. Approaching a lake, they were immediately attacked by a monster that tore apart IR's life vest. No chance to re-eighth, lost a small fortune in gear right there. Miku managed to shoot down the creature. Here, they faced several large monsters. Kaito, who can't swim, fell into the water and nearly died, but luckily the water was shallow. After roasting a giant squid, they confronted a pack of aggressive tuna. Thankfully, everyone was exceptional individually, so no real problems arose. Seeing IR's weapon in action was impressive. He even conjured a similar one with magic. After fighting for a while, IR ran out of MP and fainted. When he woke up, his three comrades were by his side, nursing him back to health with healing potions. That's why he recovered so quickly. They were truly a team now, so such incidents were no big deal. The day's work went well, collecting many rare magic stones. The girl asked about IR's fighting style, and he explained how he mimicked Irie's strength. Suddenly, Miku's snatch skill reacted strangely. Then, a terrifying monster appeared so massive, it sent chills down everyone's spines. This dinosaur-like beast should only be found on deeper floors, so how did it find them here? It was absurd. Everyone chose to retreat, but before they could escape, the cave entrance was blocked off by falling rocks, trapping them. They had no choice but to fight, even though fear gripped their hearts. In times like these, Kaito proved his mettle. He took command, directing everyone to coordinate attacks. Hikari used magic to restrain the beast, but since it had legs, the spell was ineffective. Miku stayed back to protect her friend and sent her spirit beast to harass the monster. Meanwhile, Men positioned himself to create an ice sword and used his imagination skill to cause an explosion. Yet, the damage was too weak to stop the dinosaur. Seizing the beast's moment of pain, IR dashed from tail to head and plunged his sword straight into its brain. One would expect that strike to be lethal, but the creature's head was as big as a grape, making the attack miss its critical mark. The girl tried her best to hold on but was eventually thrown into the shallow water, leaving IR unable to fight, overwhelmed by pain and humiliation. Her dream to become a hero shattered in that instant. The dinosaur then targeted the remaining two. With no other option, they called for Luceria and Xvi, summoning their strong and adorable younger sisters. Overwhelmed by fear, Hikari fainted. For a moment, a radiant light spread through. Menza's card had everyone's eyes glued to the angel and demon standing tall, facing off against the mindless dinosaur their master had tasked them to defeat. Without hesitation, they unleashed a combined storm of lightning and fear, a deadly duet that sealed the beast's fate. With the threat vanquished, surprise rippled through the crowd as two little girls suddenly appeared. Miku dashed forward, wrapping her arms around Lyria, overwhelmed by how adorably precious she was, pure gratitude shining in her eyes. The angelic Hikari was equally fond of Lyria but shyly held back, not daring to hug her. She managed to touch her gently, but even that made her tear up a tender moment that forced everyone to soften. Eri, caught up in the joy, also wanted to reach out but had to maintain her strong image. Kaito then explained these were his two servants. The three girls bore no ill will, they simply wished to be friends with Lyria and Fi. So, the whole group headed to the girls' bathing area, showering praise on the two newcomers. Suddenly, Fi and Lyria found themselves with three new fans. Without Kaito's presence, Eri felt free to join in, eagerly hugging and bonding, while he stayed back with the little spirit beast. Overhearing the girls' playful teasing, he was left unsure how to react. That evening, as they prepared to leave, Miku and Hikari were picked up by their parents in fancy cars. Irie came from a good family too, though not quite as wealthy as the other two. Later, Kaito asked about her dream to become a hero. She shared how her father had taught her to be strong, to fight injustice and protect those she cherished. This fierce resolve had driven her to become an adventurer, facing dungeon trials day by day to grow stronger. Kaito shared a similar aspiration, and the bond between them deepened in that understanding. Irie even invited Kaito to her university's camping trip at Okawa Academy, the very place Haruka hoped to enter. The next day at school, Kaito bragged about being invited and that his two friends wanted to join. But he planned to skip it since Shinji and Hayato had already taken him off the market with their dating antics. Embarrassed, he clarified that day was only for shopping. Haruka and her friend, overhearing the chatter, nervously approached Kaito. Mustering all her courage, Haruka invited him to the Okawa camp, which he gladly accepted. Haruka was thrilled and even wanted to invite Kaito herself since Okawa was where she planned to take her entrance exams next year. Meanwhile, the other two guys were left in the lurch, rejected when they tried to invite girls along. Defeated, they sulked away. As the weekend arrived, the group gathered for the camping trip. Haruka proudly wore the outfit chosen for her last time, stepping into a new chapter beside Kaito. The pair set off toward Okawa Academy, their steps hesitant but hearts hopeful. Though childhood friends, Kaito found himself shy, avoiding sitting too close to Haruka. Even if he hadn't come along, she would have toured the campus anyway, but being invited made the experience tenfold sweeter. The atmosphere felt like a secret date, and Menz couldn't help but grin at the unfolding scene. Lost in thought, Kaito realized he liked her too, but feared he wasn't worthy. On this trip, Shinji and Hato tagged along, clearly more interested in scouting girls than the school itself. They promised not to bother them, so no worries. Today was Saturday. Normally Kaito would be dungeon crawling with Phi and Leria, but since he'd already made plans, he decided to skip it. Haruka already knew about his dungeon escape and told him to forget it, focusing instead on the fun day ahead. Upon arrival, the four were stunned by the sprawling campus. No wonder it was the school for the wealthy. Everything a student could dream of was right here. If they passed next year's exam, they could all enjoy cherry blossoms together. Kaito imagined that beautiful scene and took a quick selfie, reminding himself to stay grounded and study hard first. At the registration area, they ran into Irie, whose tiny stature surprised the others. She was thrilled they came and hoped to connect and learn more today. The guys introduced their friends, Hato and Shinji, who greeted Irie warmly. She asked if Men had a girlfriend. He explained she was just a childhood friend, not a lover. Hearing this eased her heart, and even Men felt a bit puzzled by his own feelings. The four friends continued touring, with questions flying about how Kaito knew the elegant girl. Kaito casually said they met in the dungeon, which made Haruka upset. The camping invitation had actually come from that senior girl, but since they were out having fun, she gently reminded him to keep the dungeon talk off limits. Later, the two guys pulled Men aside, curious if that was the same girl from their old team. They envied the fateful dungeon encounter that bonded them. They also warned Men not to let that girl worry too much, knowing how deeply Haruka cared for him. Their tour continued, and the four were amazed by the top-tier facility as everything was perfect for a student's life. Sadly, with the grades of the two guys, the dream of passing next year seemed far-fetched. Kaito felt the pressure too, but his wish to study alongside Haruka gave him fierce determination to push through the exams. The tuition was steep, but thanks to his dungeon job, money wasn't a problem now. Enjoying the breeze, two other schoolgirls approached Miku and Hikari. Everyone was surprised, especially Haruka, who had never heard them call her by her real name before. Though Miku and Hikari weren't old enough to take the exam yet, they wanted to come when they heard Kaito would be there. Like Irie, they asked if the girl beside him was his girlfriend. He said they were neighbors, which made Haruka a bit annoyed, but the others delighted. The three girls chatted casually, asking how they knew each other. Kaito mentioned the dungeon, which the three guys couldn't stop teasing about. They could only pray Haruka wouldn't get too mad, knowing Kaito lived with these girls in the dungeon. Irie had finished her work and joined the group, inviting everyone out to eat. Impressing the four with the fancy dishes served her lunch was covered by the school, all priced uniformly at 2,000 yen. Tasting the food was heavenly, crafted by top chefs, a perfect motivation to work hard and get into Okawa. Later, Haruka went to grab drinks, so Kaito offered to help carry them. Meanwhile, Shinji and Hato struck up conversations with the three girls, having been dungeon adventurers themselves before. The girls were curious too, but the guys downplayed their pasts, not wanting to admit how badly they got beaten by goblins and quit. Life in the dungeon had strict rules that wore them down, but having close friends made it bearable. As the couple returned, they overheard tales of dangerous dungeon raids, leaving Haruka puzzled. Why did everyone love going there? The group then toured other spots, including a heated pool for winter. This made Kaito remember how he couldn't swim as a kid, and how Haruka once saved him from a wild wolf, a heart-stopping moment that bonded them deeply. Miku and Hikari suddenly felt uneasy watching the two chat endlessly with Eri, and gently nudged their friends. Then, as Kaito was focused on Eri, Hikari slipped and fell, but he reacted like a superhero, catching her and holding her like a princess, a touching scene that melted hearts. That earlier discomfort? Turns out, Miku's jealous love flared up, telling him to put her down, which only made things dreamier. Just then, a stray balloon drifted toward Miku, but men protected her like a knight. Though she acted tough, the defense won her over. Witnessing this superhuman move, Shinji and Hato couldn't believe how much he'd grown stronger. Eri then invited everyone to the dojo she was proud of, showing off some basic moves. Yet, a lingering unease kept her distracted. Kaito complimented her skills, lifting her spirits, and she blushed, realizing she'd fallen for him. As the day ended, they exchanged contacts, promising to hang out again. Everyone agreed it was a wonderful day. Eri thanked them for coming, and the four headed home happily. The three sisters felt satisfied, having made sweet memories. On the way back, Hato invited Shinji to revisit the dungeon. Maybe he could charm one of the girls there. Kaito was speechless. Later that night, the two close friends returned to their familiar street, vowing to study hard and get into that prestigious school. The girl was overjoyed, her heart full of hope. The day was a whirlwind of emotions, friendship, burgeoning love, and dreams intertwined. It was a glimpse of what the future might hold, where courage and heart would pave their way to Okawa Academy and beyond. If you've ever felt the flutter of young love, mixed with the weight of ambition, you know this moment, the promise of growth and the hope that tomorrow will shine brighter. Let's cherish these fleeting days, where every smile and every glance carries the magic of possibility. And if you find yourself torn between dreams and doubts, remember, even the smallest spark can light the darkest path. Thanks for sharing this journey. May your own story be just as full of heart and hope. Then they asked who his type was among those three guys. He said he didn't like any of them because the one he liked was her. But before getting to that part, he didn't dare confess yet, just promised that one day he would tell her. For now, it was a secret. Besides that, Haruka brought up how everyone calls each other by their first names, but why not him? That left him a bit clueless, not realizing she was jealous. Feeling puzzled, he got scolded. Back at home, the young man wondered if maybe she was jealous. Deep down, he thought there was no way that girl liked him. Honestly, he was just so clueless. Today, Kaito went back down to the first floor to look for Rimuru but found nothing. Armed with mosquito spray, he swiftly took down several slimes in a blink. This task was just to gather some food for the two little ones along the way. Lucilia scolded him, asking why he abandoned them yesterday to hang out with a girl. He said he was just invited to tour the school, didn't do anything wrong. The little devil didn't understand what school was, so he asked Shinfi to explain. It's where humans learn. In short, their master had many things to do and wasn't always free. They could understand that, but still felt a bit sad being left behind. Kaito apologized and cheered them up by giving each 3 magic stones to eat. Lucilia wasn't satisfied and demanded 300 magic stones. That would bankrupt him for sure. Just then, a rare slime appeared, but the little devil smashed it to dust. Too bad it didn't drop any rare loot. As a reward, Kaito promised each kid 10 stones whenever they used their strength food, made everything better. He just reminded himself not to neglect them too long. Kaito found a glove as loot, which seemed pretty useful. By spending MP, he could make his spells invisible pretty cool, so he tried it out. It really made his skills unseen. To test its power, he shot water and combined it with his magic sword skill, producing a surprising effect. This would be handy in certain situations. Meanwhile, Eri's group arrived, ready to move down to the 9th floor. Since the two little ones were now part of the crew, Kaito wasn't afraid their secret identities would be exposed. Seeing their master close with those 3 kids, Lucelia and Shinfi sparked tiny magic lights. They also vowed to try hard to get into Eri's school. Eri invited them to study together, making things easier. Kaito asked if his close friend could come along too. The 3 girls hesitated but agreed, wanting the kids' support. Then they noticed Kaito sulking, definitely not a good sign. Miku and Hikari found it adorable and poked his cheeks. Eri liked it too, but, as the eldest, had to hold back her feelings. So, they began descending to the 9th floor. Eri also invited everyone to study together, making things easier. Kaito even asked if his close friend could join. The 3 girls hesitated but agreed they wanted support from the younger 2. Yet, seeing Eri pout like that wasn't a good sign. Miku and Hikari, finding it adorable, playfully pinched Eri's cheeks. Though she liked the affection, as the eldest sister, She held back her feelings. With that, they descended to the 9th floor, reminding each other to stay alert. Before they could go far, Fi warned of a powerful monster ahead. Tensions rose, but the adventure had just begun. Quitting now was no fun. Lyria, confident as ever, promised to step in if things turned dire. Worst case, they'd retreat using Fi's barrier. Moving cautiously, they pressed forward. Soon, they identified the towering threat. OS Rose, a beast rarely seen on lower floors. Lyria judged it a tough opponent. Eerie, realizing the danger, urged everyone to turn back, but it was too late. A giant two-headed dog, lured by the scent of pretty girls, attacked suddenly. Fi instantly raised her maiden's barrier to shield the others, forcing the group to strike from a distance for safety. Hikari summoned mud to trap the beast's feet, while the rest launched attacks. Lyria tried to incinerate it with fire magic, but its fiery breath rendered flames nearly useless. Fi's barrier blocked damage, yet the heat radiating was intense. The battle grew dire, as the demon girl's ultimate move still couldn't pierce the two-headed hound's defenses. Miku sent her spirit beast to assault with wind, chipping away at the monster's health. This foe was far stronger than the previous two. Kaito, struck by inspiration, called out to Lyria to attack while he distracted the beast. Noticing the vulnerable belly, he aimed his blows there, hoping to turn the tide. Understanding the plan, the demon girl unleashed her hellfire chain. She fires the hellfire chain shot into the beast's belly, causing it sharp pain. Shi-Fi is ordered to assault with his divine spear. The two sisters coordinate their attacks meticulously to wear it down slowly. The angelic little sister shifts into her winged form and thrusts the spear forward, though it fails to pierce its thick hide. Below, Luceria keeps burning it, turning the beast into a snarling, smouldering hound. Outside, the others fire guns, trying to deal more damage. Kate notices the beast is about to breathe fire again. He unleashes a new move fused with ice magic, slashing at the beast. Spotting one head still eager to attack, he jams a water orb into its maw to silence the beast's fiery roar. Seizing this moment, the team launches a full-on assault. But with over 1,000 hit points, the battle drags on. The beast's defenses weaken, and only then can the group inflict real damage. Kate delivers the final blow, a stunning range slash that fells the monster. Joy erupts. This victory feels like slaying a giant worm. It's their first triumph on the 9th floor, and exhaustion pulls them to rest. Even Men praises the two sisters and rewards them with magic stones. A burning question lingers. How did Oz Rose appear on this floor unnoticed? Before they can ponder further, Shi-Fi senses a surge of magic far greater than the beast's, likely the mastermind behind this chaos. The figure is an archdemon resembling Luceria, but lacking noble blood. Seeing the team's strength, he decides to toy with them. Everyone understands, escape is impossible. They must fight. Initially, he considers sparing Lyria due to their shared nature, but changes his mind upon seeing her side with the others. His intent? To slaughter them all. Shi-Fi erects a barrier, successfully blocking the attack, impressing even the demon with her defense. Switching to a sword, he tries to break through the shield. Sensing danger, Kate hands Shi-Fi a larger magic stone to reinforce her protection. They unleash a barrage of attacks on the demon, but it shrugs them off. Luceria's flames leave no mark. The demon endures direct hits, boasting over 1,800 hit points. At this rate, the team risks draining their magic and succumbing. The little demon sister insists on joining Shi-Fi's assault, her unique power being the key to victory. Kate worries for the three comrades, but they refuse to back down. A little danger beats dying helplessly. Eri confidently steps forward, ready to absorb the demon's strike. Men agrees to let the angelic sister dissolve the barrier to focus on fighting. Miku and Hikari, weaker, hang back. While the enemy still flaunts confidence and takes damage head-on, the two sisters launch a combined attack, yet it's insufficient to wound him deeply. Frustrated, the demon blinks away, aiming to finish off Men first, but Eri blocks the blow. The demon is sent flying, losing combat ability. Furious, Kate retaliates with a magic sword burst, causing the demon's Wapona gift from the demon Dukito explode. Enraged, the demon charges at Kate. He softens the blow with an ice shield but still winces. For the first time, he sees his master hurt. Shi-Fi and Lyria glare fiercely, joining their friends in a powerful spell. Shi-Fi uses a healing potion to keep fighting. Miku, worried, is asked to do something crucial. Together with her spirit beast, she stands before the demon, firing to distract him. In that moment, the little demon slashes into his back while activating the magic sword's burst effect, inflicting sharp pain. The move works, but the enemy recovers with a healing spell, something they hadn't anticipated. The demon's wrath explodes. Kate is blasted away, nearly unconscious. Eri recovers and tries to protect him but fails. One by one, the team falls. Luceria, desperate, shields the others, urging the master to flee. As the only boy, he refuses to abandon the girls. Even the little demon is knocked back towards Men, who scrambles for a solution. Suddenly, a new skill emerges, a fusion between him and Luceria that drains his life to empower the little demon sister. It's their last resort. Kate entrusts her with the voracious beauty technique. Though she worries about the toll on his life, survival outweighs fear. Luceria absorbs his life force, transforming into her true, majestic demon maiden form. Half his blood is lost, but the little demon now stands as a beautiful, formidable young woman. Kate is stunned by this power. Though not her ultimate form, it's enough to slay the demon. The arrogant enemy, unaware of such a technique, sneers, underestimating her. Lyria retaliates with a strike mirroring his initial show of force. But for a high-ranking demon like her, it's futile. She introduces herself as the Countess Demon, far from the simple foe he imagines. Without a word, she unleashes the Deathbringer skill, sending the fool back to dust. The battle ends. Yet the life-draining process leaves Kate uneasy. He demands his power back, threatening the little demon to treat him better. She teasingly demands praise for her beauty as a condition. Indeed, she is stunning but devilishly cruel. After releasing the technique, Kate exhales in relief he's still alive. The group rests long and hard, convinced they would all perish. But fate smiles. Survival sparks new strength. Kaito urged her to use the life-draining ritual, despite her worries about risking her own life. But better to fight than die here, so she agreed. Lyria absorbed life force from her master, to temporarily assume her true form. Half her health drained, but she emerged as a stunning, powerful demon maiden. Seeing her mighty new shape, Kaito was stunned. Though not her ultimate form, it was enough to finish the fight. The demon youth, unaware such a technique existed, scoffed arrogantly. Lyria returned a fierce blow, mocking his initial bravado. To an advanced demon like her, his attacks were trivial. Introducing herself as Countess Demoness, she made it clear she was no mere underling. Without further words, she unleashed a deadly skill to send the fool back to dust. The battle was over, but the ritual's toll left Kaito uneasy. He demanded she return his strength, only to be threatened into treating him better. She teased him, comparing him to Fee, before finally undoing the spell, even making him compliment her beauty, which was undeniable, devastatingly gorgeous, yet devilishly cruel. After breaking the spell, Kaito sighed in relief, was still alive. The group rested long and hard to recover, expecting the worst. Yet fate smiled, sparing them all. After defeating the fearsome demon, everyone leveled up from the intense battle. Kaito even learnt a new skill, though he vowed to use the life-draining ritual only in the direst moments. They celebrated their victory and awaited their rewards. Their prize was a massive, strange blue mana stone from OS Rosy, the largest and most unique they'd ever seen. Since Kaito had landed the final blow, the three girls insisted he enjoy the full reward. Despite his family's wealth, selling this stone wouldn't make them richer. The second item seemed even more valuable, the demon card from the defeated fiend. When Kaito asked what to do with it, Eri and Lyria decided she should keep it, as she was the one who defeated the villain. However, having two demons wasn't ideal, so Kaito planned to sell it. Lyria scoffed, claiming the demon was low tier, nowhere near her level. Hearing this, Kaito felt a sudden wave of sympathy. Well then, might as well use it. If only he could harness such overwhelming power. This guy could be a huge help, but there's a catch when summoned. He turned into a kid exactly like those two little girls. Once again, I felt utterly foolish for making that call. Honestly, selling this card could have earned me at least $500 million. The kid introduced himself as Beria, summoned by the master's command, destined to serve him faithfully, forever. Later, the kid even awkwardly patted Kate's back to win favor. Well, crooked is better than nothing, so he accepted Beria as the new team member. Hearing that, the little guy was thrilled. Soon they took a huge magic stone to sell. During the negotiation, they recounted the encounter with OS Rose, naturally leaving out what happened afterward. The receptionist then dispatched a team to investigate the sudden appearance of powerful monsters on the 9th floor. The magic stone's price reached a staggering 24 million yen, a fortune to buy all the gear and toys one could dream of. Kate planned to split it 4 ways, but the girls didn't need their shares, so the 3 teammates accepted the windfall. Afterwards, they ate together, and Kate was guided through the tax filing process. Even as they left, disbelief lingered. How could one day hold so many twists? A few days later, Hikari fell seriously ill, prompting her friend Miku to call and check in, easing everyone's worries. Hikari fibbed about her condition and promised they'd meet next week to try out their newly learned skills. Cut to the next week, where the group descended into the dungeon to test Beria's abilities. The kid agreed, but Kate was a bit surprised he had no weapon at the moment, even though he was a knight. Last fight, he saw Berea wield a sword, but Luceria reminded the master that it was she who destroyed that sword. No way to replace it, so Kate rummaged through his backpack and pulled out a metal rod. Not a sword, but at least something to fight with. Berea hesitated, but was quickly scolded by the others for acting like a snob was. This some kind of discrimination because he was a boy? This was the only choice for now, so he made do. Honestly, Berea's technique was so good that even wielding a metal rod, he could easily defeat monsters. Kate and Ari admired his swordsmanship skills, praising him as talented. If only he had a real sword, those monsters might have been wiped out long ago. Luceria, on the other hand, criticized how much slower his movements became. Berea explained it was because his body wasn't suited to his current skill level. Once he leveled up, he'd be much stronger. He hoped the master would keep him by his side and not cast him away. He longed to be useful to those two adorable little Princess Sesto become their shining knight. Being called a princess suddenly made both Phi and Luceria light up with joy, happily accepting him as a teammate. The others were shocked by Berea's sharp tongue. He might even be better with words than with a sword. The boy believed that with hard work, a rusty iron rod could someday become a gleaming sword. What a hopeful thought. Kate eagerly anticipated Berea's future performances in battle. It seems subtitle 196 repeats content from 195. If so, maintain the flow. It seems subtitle 197 continues the previous. Retaining narrative. It seems subtitle 198 continues the previous. Retaining narrative. In the days to come, the little one's joy overflowed in tears. The recognition felt like a fragile light in a world that seemed to isolate its bearer. Yet, the path was different for its master, sparking a fear of solitude. Soon after, to test the second skill, he had to battle monsters to lower his blood volume. Only then could he wield the shadow power from Bearer. This power could heal wounds but couldn't restore the lost blood. At this moment, Kaito bore no injury, so the skill proved useless. Beyond healing, it slowly restored stamina without fully replenishing HP. Kaito's vitality sharply dropped after using Luceria's ravenous skill. If Bearer's shadow power could speed up stamina recovery just a bit, he might become invincible. Hearing this, his little sister eagerly wanted to try the fierce gluttony skill again, but Kaito hesitated. His current blood level wasn't even half full. One more bite and he'd be toast. She insisted it was fine since Bearer's skill was there, but stubbornness kept them at odds, their exchange causing Kaito to stumble. When Kaito showed a wounded hand, the little sister insisted on trying the healing skill again. Upon activation, sure enough, the wounds vanished, and Kaito felt no pain, saving him a fortune in medicine. Praised for such recovery, the little one brimmed with pride. Next, the trio of girls stepped up to test their new skills. First was Hikari and Ari, combining their powers, freezing the monster completely, freezing its very movement, allowing the senior to strengthen or enchant her weapon and slash the beast clean in two. Witnessing this, the others buzzed with excitement. It was a perfect symphony of skill, Hikari controlling the enemy's every move, Ari delivering the finishing blow. Then came Miku and her spirit beast, both having mastered new supportive skills. Miku conjured illusions to confuse the monsters into thinking they were under attack, while the spirit beast unleashed a sweeping assault with sharp, rigid feathers. This excellent teamwork felled 3 monsters at once without breaking a sweat. Taito, watching his comrades grow stronger, felt reassured and pressed forward, ready to notify others about monsters ahead. The final test was the Warrior Angel's battle hymn. This skill was known to bolster allies' strength. The little sister raised her voice in a powerful anthem, and the massive angelic form from their previous encounter emerged, enveloping them all. As the bearer of 3 key cards, Kaito felt his stats surge. To him, the monsters now moved like slow snails, their attacks easy to predict and dodge. He dispatched one effortlessly, while Bearer and Luceria finished off the others. Sure, their power had soared, but compared to the fierce gluttony skill, it still lagged behind. That skill's cost was steep, preserved for dire moments. When asked, Bearer praised Kaito's warrior song, noting its effectiveness hinged on trust between users. So, the longer they stayed together, the stronger the song's power. The 3 sisters encouraged the little one to keep trying. Being demons themselves, Luceria stepped up as the dignified elder sister, rallying spirits and vowing to become a master swordsman to protect everyone. Mentioning the sword sparked an idea. Kaito called his teammates to wait and dashed to the nearest dungeon shopping area to buy Bearer a new sword. This wasn't just any blade, it was a special weapon gifted by Kaito himself. The little one's initial reluctance melted into gratitude, overwhelmed by the ideal weapon in hand. With it, Bearer demonstrated breathtaking swordsmanship, charging solo into 3 powerful monsters, dispatching them with ease. The 6 others gaped in awe. Their team had gained a formidable close combat fighter. Not to mention, Bera's appetite was far less than those 2 slackers, demanding nothing but respect. Kaito soon asked Bera to teach him sword techniques. Overjoyed, Bera agreed to start immediately, but it was already too late, so they had to wrap up and head home. The 2 little sisters asked why, and Irie invited them over tomorrow to study together as planned. Meanwhile, Kaito's other companions, X-Fi and Lua, felt jealousy stir, knowing their master was out with girls. Resigned, they apologized and promised to join Sunday, delighting Bera. The next day, Kaito brought Haruka, Shinji, and Hato to Ari's mansion. Rumor had it this was a dojo, but no one expected it to be as vast as several high schools combined. The 2 wealthy kids were here too, so it had to be Ari's home. Shinji and Hato tried to make conversation but got cold, showed as their hearts belonged solely to Miku. Inside, the trio marveled at the sprawling garden. Miku and Hikari, familiar with the place, hopped on a bike and whisked Haruka ahead, leaving the 3 men behind to trudge down the long path. The girls arrived first and were warmly greeted by the host. Haruka expressed gratitude for the invitation and hoped for the elder sister's guidance in preparing for exams. Irie's family had practiced martial arts for generations, preserving the tradition in this expansive dojo. It offered everything like meditation spots beneath waterfalls to steady the mind. The vastness was for rigorous physical training. Though they had cars, Irie insisted on running everywhere, adhering strictly to their training regimen. The 3 men finally caught up, clearly exhausted. Before they could rest, the girls dragged them straight into lessons. They vowed never to visit the wealthy again, too draining. The host set up a training room for focus and study. The guys picked spots, hoping for easy seats except Kaito, who was summoned by Ari to sit nearby. She appeared friendly with him, sparking a twinge of jealousy in Haruka, though she hid it well. Kaito's weak subject was math, but Irie had already mastered it, making her tutoring smooth. The 2 guys wanted to impress the girls, telling Miku and Hikari to help if anything was unclear. Meanwhile, the younger sister preferred asking Haruka for help, which Kaito thought was perfect since he knew she was kind and thorough, making the little one blush. The jerks teased, rattling the girls and breaking their concentration, so Irie suggested practicing by the waterfall. Miku and the younger sister agreed immediately, despite the cold evening air, while Haruka hesitated but joined them. The majority ruled, and the 3 guys had no choice but to follow. They changed into suitable clothes, shivering even before stepping into the water. Sensing their doubt, Irie confidently demonstrated supreme mental focus. Miku felt the chill but endured, while Haruka experienced this sensation for the first time but stayed composed. No additional dialogue provided for this timestamp. 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 After some time, the heavy clouds over the 4 muses began to lift. Sito noticed her close friend's worries, but seeing her drenched like this somehow felt right. Everything was falling into place. Being complimented as cute made Haruka call over the 3 boys to experience the chill, and they shivered uncontrollably. The cold haunted them until night, a biting chill that lingered. Arya thanked everyone for coming to play like this, her gratitude warm amid the frost. Unlike the boys, the sisters were full of joy, already hoping they'd return soon and be welcomed warmly by their host. The next day, true to his word, Kaito returned to the dungeon to continue the fiery challenge with SH. Phi questioned him about what happened with the girls yesterday, noticing their cheerful spirits. MU wanted to descend to the 10th floor to conquer the trio, while Gent's jealousy burned. He was certain something had gone down with them. Recently, Hikari's emotions surfaced, yearning for more love from Kaito. She silently wished their happiness would stretch forever. Miku, hearing this, grasped her hand tightly and promised to stand by her friend forever. Suddenly, 3 powerful monsters appeared. Phi immediately unleashed a warrior's song to strengthen all allies. Seizing the moment, Hikari cast a wide freeze spell, allowing the 3 melee experts to strike hard. They charged forward relentlessly, leaving Leria with no room to shine. Together, they slaughtered countless monsters without breaking a sweat. If this kept up, they could move to the next floor without trouble. But the little demon also wanted to prove herself, scolding her master for neglect. As soon as they stepped onto floor 10, Hikari began to fall ill. It turned out she had been sick all along but pushed herself to join the group. Seeing her friend collapse, Miku's heart shattered, unsure how to help. Memories flashed back 2 years ago. Miku was crowned queen of the card game. A few challengers came often, testing her skills, and she accepted every duel. Though victory was almost certain, Miku's deck was full of rare, hard-to-find cards, making battles swift and decisive. One young challenger couldn't accept defeat and begged for more rounds, but Quinn refused. Then he harshly criticized her, claiming someone who buys rare cards isn't truly skilled. Miku shared this view, explaining rare cards don't guarantee a stronger deck. True power lies in knowing your cards inside and out. Her words hit home, and the challenger stormed off. At that moment, Miku's mind was clouded with boredom until Hikari appeared. Hikari was a year younger, and deeply admired Miku's playstyle. She approached with a cute smile, and Miku couldn't say no. The match began swiftly. Miku noticed her opponent's deck and tactics mirrored her own perfectly. That was Hikari's way of showing admiration by imitation. Gradually, she realized Hikari was also a rich girl, like herself, and even more beloved, making her even more precious. Miku's deck was built for quick strikes and fast wins, while Hikari's was more defensive but used an offensive style, leading to her defeat. After the match, Miku was thrilled and promised to help her sister find the perfect deck. They quickly became close friends, enjoying their time together, partly thanks to their affluent backgrounds allowing freedom in their choices. They even registered for a doubles card tournament, vowing to stand together forever. Thanks to their talents, they soon won the championship. But just at their peak, Hikari's illness flared up, turning the award ceremony into a moment of sorrow. From that day on, Miku's journey changed forever. Her friends' struggle became a silent battle that shadowed their shining victories, a painful reminder that sometimes even the brightest lights flicker under hidden darkness. If you've ever felt powerless watching someone you love suffer, take a breath and ask yourself, how do we carry those we care for through the storm? Learning that Hikari was battling a cruel illness with little time left, the three friends gathered at the hospital, watching over their poor comrade. Irie urged the juniors to rest at home since the doctor said Hikari wouldn't wake soon. Unaware of the full truth, Miku stubbornly insisted on staying, and even Kaito, curious, believed the advanced healing potion could work miracles. But the truth dawned like a cold wave. The potion could mend broken bones instantly, yet it was powerless against Hikari's cruel fate. At that moment, her parents arrived, worry etched deep into their faces. Miku apologized for following their daughter and letting this happen. They held no blame, only gratitude, knowing their daughter's illness was already beyond hope. The father sincerely thanked the trio for being her friends. Hikari had already spoken of them at home, so her parents knew Kaito and Irie by name. Unable to bear the grief, Miku fled outside, only to be chased by Irie, fearing something worse might happen. Later, on the rooftop, the couple finally asked about Hikari's illness. Initially, she hesitated to reveal the truth, but the father stepped forward, insisting it was time to share, trusting how dearly their daughter cared for them. The diagnosis was merciless. Hikari's disease was incurable, a relentless decay of her internal organs that grew weaker with each day. Modern medicine was a marvel, yet helpless here. The father's voice trembled as he warned this might be their last meeting if Hikari slipped into unconsciousness. They feared she wouldn't survive the year to greet the new year with family. The weight of this shattered the friends' hearts. Kaito asked if Hikari knew her fate. At first, her parents wanted to shield her, but her sharp mind uncovered the cruel truth swiftly. Still, to spare everyone pain, Hikari wore a brave smile, masking an ocean of silent tears. Inside the dungeon, her vital stats had been artificially enhanced to hide her frail Taino. One recognized the fragile girl beneath the warrior's guise. The father was stunned to learn they ventured into such perilous depths. Miku feared his anger but was met with understanding. He knew this was Hikari's choice. To ease her parents' worry, she had lied about just playing in a park near the guild, but the truth was far darker. She was exploring a labyrinth. Why would a sickly girl risk the dungeon's dangers? Miku revealed the reason. Rare items dropped there held miraculous healing powers, potentially curing any illness. When Miku discovered this, she was determined to find these treasures and save her friend. Hikari too knew about the legendary Elysia and begged to join her beloved sister on the quest. At first, Miku refused, fearing for her fragile health, but the more dangerous it seemed, the more Hikari refused to let Miku face it alone. After deep thought, she resolved to enter the dungeon herself, hiding the truth from both parents. Their shared hope was to find Elysia for research, dreaming of a future cure for those like Hikari. Of course, if found, the precious item would first save Hikari's own life. Miku, out of options, agreed, and together they embraced, their hearts burning with determination to uncover the legendary treasure. Hearing this, the father was stunned by his daughter's selflessness, her wish not just to save herself but all who suffered like her. Miku could not give up now. Urging faster progress, he watched on silently. Miku said she was only doing what she could at the moment, a reminder that struck a chord with Kaito, who remembered similar words from their past. Earlier, the friend had apologized for hiding the truth longer. Irie held no grudge, only a shared resolve to find Elysia and save their comrade. Though Elysia's existence was uncertain, their only weapon was faith that such a miraculous item was real. Eerie encouraged the group to press on with hope. Starting tomorrow, they would delve deeper into the dungeon, increasing their chances of finding rare loot. The father bowed deeply, grateful to these friends for giving his daughter a final glimmer of hope. The next day, they descended to the 10th floor, a sun-scorched desert teeming with creatures adapted to the harsh sands. As 3 camels approached, Miku's enchanting song radiated through the air, boosting their stats. Kaito and Irie guarded the right flank, Miku the left, while Kaito planned to cover the center until Emiya claimed it for herself. Luceria wanted in on the fight, but with only 3 beasts, the opening move was hers alone. Miku's hypnotic charm froze one monster in place. A small beast finished the job. Irie, wielding a new skill, ended another with a single strike. The skilled Kaito dodged and pierced through the last. Sadly, none dropped rare items, only common magic stones. Kaito knew these treasures wouldn't be easy to find, so they kept pushing, determined to defeat as many foes as possible. The demon girl was shocked to learn about her friend's fatal illness. Their growing bond made her absence hit Luceria hard. In the desert's blazing heat, battling drained their strength far more than usual. Kaito asked if the others felt the heat. Miku was a little warm. Luceria was used to the harsh environment. Suddenly, Bia warned her master to dodge a sensing danger beneath the sand. Xvi also felt the warning but was caught off guard, ensnared by a hidden creature. Seeing this, the demon girl wanted to roast the beast, but was stopped by their angelic friend, reminding her that if their master died, no one would care for them. Miku stepped in, enchanting the creature to release Kaito, giving Luceria a chance to strike. Before she could attack, the team's knight charged in, slicing the beast into pieces, avenging their master. Proud of his good deed, he was scolded by the demon girl for nearly pulling a fast one. They promised next time to let Miku fight, and thanked Bia for her excellent work. At day's end, they visited Hikari, still without rare loot. She longed to see Kaito wrapped tight by a monster's embrace, and hoped to soon join them in the dungeon again. Sadly, none of these 3 dropped any rare items. They fought tirelessly, but only common magic stones fell. Kate knew those stones were rare to find, so they pushed on, determined to slay as many monsters as possible. The little demon girl never expected her friend to be suffering from a terminal illness. Their bond was growing stronger, so her absence left Lucia heartbroken. In this scorching desert, the heat sapped their strength faster than usual. Kate asked the girls if they felt the heat. Phi was just a bit bothered, but Lucia was already used to this harsh environment. Suddenly, Beria shouted for the master to dodge. He sensed something approaching. Phi caught the warning too, but before they could react, a creature buried beneath the sand wrapped around him. Seeing this, the little demon wanted to roast them alive, but their angelic friend stopped her. "If the master dies, who will care for them?" she warned. Miku stepped in, casting a charm that bewitched the beast, forcing it to release Kite. This gave Lucia a chance to strike. But before she could move, the team's knight charged, slicing the creature into pieces, avenging their master. Overjoyed at doing good, she was immediately scolded by the demon girl for recklessly showing off. They promised next time to let her fight properly, and thanked Beria for his brave efforts. At day's end, they visited Hikari, who was still recovering and hadn't collected anything. She eagerly wanted to see Kaito get wrapped up by a monster again, and hoped to join the dungeon crawl soon. Miku agreed and masked her sadness, not wanting to worry Hikari. Outside, they found their friend crying quietly, facing life-threatening danger, but still managing a smile. Later, Irie escorted her home and promised Kaito they'd meet again. As for Kaito himself, he was determined to become a hero to protect those he loved, especially that little girl. On the way home, Haruka called, asking about Hikari's condition. He couldn't bring himself to reveal her illness. Instead, he recalled Haruka's father mentioning the dungeon's mysteries. If they found something valuable, many people in their world could be saved. Inspired, he vowed to keep exploring to gain strength and help others. Back in the dungeon with his 3 siblings, they faced a terrifying beast. But Kaito stood fearless, driven by his dream to be like Haruka's father, a great man who could save lives. His frequent dungeon visits caused him to be late for school often, worrying Haruka and confusing his teachers. During recess, his friends, busy studying, asked Hato and Shinji to send their regards to Hikari. As they left, they also inquired about her health. Lately, Kaito's constant dungeon expeditions made him late for school more than once. Haruka worried deeply, and even their teacher was baffled by his sudden change. During break time, the 2 friends, though one was visiting Hikari in the hospital, sent their regards through Hato and Shinji. Hikari herself was busy studying hard, so they asked the others to pass on their well wishes. When asked about Kaito's health, he He shrugged it off just a bit, sleep-deprived, yawning even after school. But while his friends checked on Hikari, Kaito slipped right back into the dungeon, chasing treasures once more. Only in moments of crisis did he realize time was precious gold and silver slipping away. Hato felt a pang of sympathy for them and asked Shinji if maybe they could lend a hand. Though eager, both were too low level to help and would only slow things down. So instead, they spent the whole afternoon playing games with their friend, bringing a rare smile to her face. She revealed she was a pro at card games related to their world. Hato promised to bring more toys next time, only to be outdone by Hikari, who'd already ranked highest thanks to Miku's relentless training. Despite her health being on the edge, she insisted she was fine. The group took their leave early so the younger ones could rest. Hikari sent her thanks to Haruka for the fruit gift, though she regretted Haruka couldn't visit in person. This made the little one feel a pang of sadness. Hearing this, the boys quickly spun a story, accidentally revealing that Haruka was the Captain Kaji's daughter. One reason for Haruka's absence was her fear of the dungeon, the very place that had stolen her beloved father. Hikari knew about Haruka's father, because she had seen a picture of a man in a book who bore a striking resemblance to Haruka. That captain was revered as a hero, one of the first explorers to chart the dungeon's depths. His last transmission claimed he had reached the 41st floor, then vanished without a trace. No wonder Haruka avoided the park near the dungeon, it only stirred painful memories. Feeling a sudden guilt, the little one hoped for Haruka's father's peace missing didn't mean lost forever. Once better, he vowed to push deeper into the dungeon, perhaps even exploring alongside her someday. The scene shifts back to the dungeon, where Kaito confronts even fiercer monsters than before. He'd never dared such danger previously, but urgency left no choice if he wanted to save Hikari. The group received blessings from Shinfi, instantly overwhelming the beast with a flurry of attacks. Despite being scorched by the fiery orb from their fierce little sister, the monster remained unfazed, aiming its wrath at the little angel. Yet, mesmerized, it faltered, easing the moment. Iri unleashed a devastating strike. Everyone joined in, their combined power shattering the monster's defenses. Men closed in, wielding his magic sword to finish the job, securing a hard-earned victory. Thanks to this formidable foe, the whole group leveled up. Shinfi congratulated them warmly. Meanwhile, Lyria, despite the fiery blow, stood strong, her fierce spirit shining through the battle's smoke and ash. This victory wasn't just a battle won, it was a testament to their unyielding resolve, a step closer to their dreams and the hope of saving those they love. As the dust settled, the bonds between them deepened, each scar a story, each breath a promise. In this world where danger lurks beneath every shadow, it's not just power that saves, it's the courage to stand together. If you've ever felt like Kaito, facing impossible odds to protect what matters most, remember, even the smallest light can pierce the darkest dungeon. And if you find yourself lost between fear and hope, ask yourself, would you choose to fight for those you love, or hide in the shadows? This is more than a game, it's a journey of heart and spirit. Thanks for sharing this adventure with me. Until next time, keep your flame burning bright. Dissatisfied with himself for not being able to finish off those three, Kaito felt his lack of experience painfully still, not enough to level up. To make matters worse, the magic stone they found wasn't what they were after. This massive, rare magic stone paled in comparison to Elsia's treasures. Yet, Kaito rallied the team's spirits, urging them onward to the next floor. But first, he made sure his three younger siblings had something to eat, fueling their bodies before the next challenge. Back at base, the receptionist shared news of their team's recent efforts, more intense than ever before, with today's earnings soaring to an impressive 50 million yen. Despite only 3 of them venturing out, Kaito insisted on splitting the reward evenly among all 4. To the 2 girls, that selfless gesture painted him as nothing short of a true gentleman. As they parted ways, Kaito asked if it was normal to frequent the dungeon like this on regular days. IR reassured him that unless there were special classes, it was perfectly fine. Miku echoed the same, having already arranged her schedule, but the one causing the most worry was Men. As exams loomed, his pale complexion and sleep deprivation were impossible to ignore. Pretending all was well, he dashed home quickly to avoid further questions. At home, Men refused rest, immersing himself in dungeon documentaries to draw motivation. They all agreed the deeper you descended, the higher the chance of rare drops. The thrill of discovery was the heart of their dungeon exploration. Men's original goal remained firm, push deeper to increase their chances of finding Elsia's treasures. For now, the group paused at floor 12. To speed up progress, knowing the monsters on this floor was a bare minimum, Kaito spent an entire night studying, which left him exhausted at school the next day. The teacher was at a loss for words. As soon as class ended, Kaito dashed home but was stopped by his 3 friends. Shinji suggested Kaito take a day off, noticing his worn-out state. Haruka agreed, though time with Hikari was running thin. She knew Kaito's efforts were all for her little sister, and her worry mixed with helplessness. Looking into his eyes, despite their mutual feelings, he apologized and ran off. Haruka had to let this one slide. Love sometimes demands silent understanding. Venturing into the dungeon without his two teammates, the three siblings worried for their leader. Kaito believed that their synchronized teamwork could overcome any obstacle. But barely a step in, he stumbled, his mind foggy. Shinji's heart ached seeing him so drained, and Lucia shared the same concern. Though men insisted he was fine, Bia urged him to rest, warning pushing himself too far could ruin everything. Feeling a bit better, Kaito promised to only scout briefly before heading back, avoiding monster fights and deeper flaws. They reached a chilling chamber. Ice surrounded them, making fire. User Lucia shiver. They should have prepared warm clothes, but now that they were here, they pushed onward. Shinji sensed no monsters nearby, giving them a moment's relief. Besides braving the freezing air, they had to tread carefully. The icy ground was treacherously slick. If a battle broke out here, effectiveness would plummet. Little Demon asked if she could melt the ice with hellfire, but Kaito refused, unnerved by the eerie silence enveloping them. Men was about to turn back when Shinji suddenly sensed an abnormal aura spreading rapidly. Before they could react, a horde of rogue boars charged them, followed by a swarm of monsters. Normally, one would be tough enough. Facing a herd was a nightmare. Shinji quickly erected a protective barrier, fearing it might shatter under their numbers. Kaito scooped up his sister, singing to boost the team's spirit, but the boars' speed and slippery ground slowed their escape. Men chose to stand and fight. Lucia unleashed a barrage of fiery attacks, clearing a group of winged beasts. The three melee fighters plunged into a brutal clash, blood and sweat flying. Shinji switched to combat mode, aiding the front lines. Despite their efforts, the waves of monsters seemed endless. The two girls gained levels from this intense battle, but Kaito, distracted, slipped. A monster rammed into him, sending him crashing into the boar pack, and getting trampled his worst state ever. As his health drained, Bia risked her life to rescue him. Lucia used binding magic to hold the enemies back while Shinji chose to stay behind, newly leveled and ready to fight. The younger siblings devoured the magic stones they earned to recharge energy. Together, they combined a brand new spell demon and angel energies, merging into a devastating force, blasting through the horde in a massive explosion that ended the chaos. Kaito slipped into a deep coma, his mana gone, beyond even Bia's healing. Lucia, overwhelmed by worry, smacked him awake. Though he wore a brave face, tears welled up in her eyes. Shinji calmed down, found 3 healing potions in his bag, and fed one to Kaito. That touch sparked Kaito's ability to take the medicine. Seeing this, Lucia and her friend doubled down, performing CPR in unison. Bia wanted to join, but was scolded by Lucia, who forbade him from trying. After 2 kisses from the girls, Kaito's life force began to return. The 3 cheered, relieved beyond words. If he had died, who else would take care of them? Grateful for their lives being saved, Kaito immediately fell asleep. Later, back in safety, IR and Miku hurried over to check his condition. Thankfully, no serious injuries. When asked what happened, Kaito explained the chaos of the rampaging monsters. The doctor advised rest. Miku's worry deepened as she asked if he was truly okay. Everyone was overjoyed he survived. Without him, who would care for them? The young man himself was grateful for their life-saving help, then promptly fell asleep. Later, back in safety, Kaito was checked over. Upon hearing he wasn't seriously hurt, Iri and Miku rushed to see him, eager to understand what had happened. It turned out he had simply been unlucky to encounter such danger. They had to scatter like startled beasts. The doctor advised Kaito to rest for a while. Miku's worry was palpable as she asked if he was truly okay. In that moment, Kaito admitted that facing death had filled him with terror. Seeing that fear etched on his face, both girls understood the harsh reality of that ordeal. That night, Kaito went to meet and apologized to Haruka, confessing that until now, he'd never considered her feelings. After surviving, he finally grasped everything, the reasons she always forbade him from stepping into the dungeon. She was genuinely scared. But the most striking truth was that Hikari seemed to face this fear every single day, never knowing if her illness would flare up again or if she even had a future. Yet, she managed to smile through it all, speaking of her father as the hero in her heart. She dreamed of becoming someone like Captain Kajithi, leader of a special dungeon exploration squad who brought back vital information. It was because of achievements like these they were hailed as heroes. Sadly, jealousy from above cast a shadow, making her father disappear without a trace for many years. Some even harshly criticized him. Kaito had seen how whenever people spoke ill of Captain Kaji, Hikari would quietly weep alone in solitude. Though she never confronted those slanders, she was driven to prove them wrong. She vowed to finish what her father couldn't, exploring the entire dungeon to uncover its mysteries, to become the hero who would prove Captain Kaji was the true legend. With steadfast determination, she embraced the path of an ordinary girl, chasing an extraordinary dream. But now, fear creeps in doubt, whispers she can't go on. She even apologizes to Haruka, who doesn't blame her. At first, she pushed forward for herself and her missing father. Now, her fight is to save Hikari's life. How could anyone resent such a kind soul? Her father once spoke of the true meaning of being a hero, to protect and serve, and only those who endure loneliness and danger can hope to rise. A hero is someone willing to sacrifice themselves for others. Back then, Haruka was too young to grasp these words, but now she understands fully. Striving for someone else, giving everything, that's what transforms a person into a hero. To her, Kaito isn't ordinary, he's the hero shining bright in Hikari's heart. And of course she herself is part of that light. She hopes Sunim will keep pushing past her fears. The dungeon's dangers stir worry, no one knows what Kaito is doing or if he's safe. That's why she forbids Sito from entering the dungeon, just as her father once did. But if she tries to stop him now, she might regret it later. If Hikari's illness flares up again, no one else could save her. So, she wishes Sunim and the team luck in finding what's needed to save Hikari. The catch? Kaito doesn't even know which dungeon floor holds Elsia, or if Elsia even exists at all. Haruka advises him to do whatever he can. Sunim, realizing something, takes Haruka's hand and thanks her she's grown wiser, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So even a girl who calls herself ordinary can find a way to become a hero. Though she doesn't fully understand, she cheers him on, praying he returns safely. The very next day, he revisits the plan, with the team not diving deeper into the dungeon today, but focusing on Sunday Slim. He's already secured 2 rare Sunday Slims right here, and if what IR said holds true, that he can attract special things, then just a rare Sunday Slim might lead him to Elsia. Miku's a bit worried. Explorers say the deeper you go, the rarer the loot. That's true, but only for gear and magic stones. Cards like Elsia and X-Fi almost never appear, except in rare, lucky cases. When Sunim captured Bia-Iri, she supported this idea based on her own experience. Ultra-rare items can drop even on the early floors. Sunim's angelic little sister wholeheartedly agrees, asking if Sunim knows the law of cause and effect. To her, everything happens for a reason. Nothing occurs without cause, no matter how strange it seems. Sometimes, meeting a master or encountering fate isn't random, it's the law of cause and effect weaving its invisible threads. That's why Kate feels sure this time he can claim what he desires, for his kindness shines through. Usually, if he searched alone, it would take forever, but now, with 5 souls bound by Min's karmic law, the chances soar. Lucia nodded in agreement, while Bia declared, "Wherever our master goes, I'll follow." The spirit in this house was contagious. Suddenly, the others caught the joy too. United as one, they set forth to hunt and purge the Slims. It had been ages since Kate wielded those special sprays from his IR days. Though these monsters were weak, they fought with fierce determination to finish quickly. Everyone was serious, committed to the task. This was perhaps the first time such a strong team hunted Slims together on the first floor, and their 2 close friends joined the fray because honestly, these weak monsters were no challenge for them. It was also the first meeting of Shinji and Hato with the adorable girls Iri and Miku. Kate cared deeply for Iri and Miku, grateful for the extra hands that boosted their chance to find rare items. The Captain Kaji's words echoed in his mind. "Claim your territory." Their hearts beat as one, eyes fixed on a brighter future with Hikari by their side. By noon, the group paused to rest, giving the younger ones a full meal before pressing on. The monsters on the first floor were weak, yes, but the constant movement was exhausting. To summon rare Slims in the dungeon, they had to keep slaying relentlessly. So far, nothing truly rare had appeared, and the mood grew heavy then. Shinji broke the silence. "Merry Christmas, everyone." His words thawed the tension like sunlight on frozen ground. Hato smiled. "Christmas is coming, this will be perfect." The thought of celebrating together, everyone present, filled them with joy. Kate proposed a plan. They would throw a Christmas feast in the dungeon, each bringing dishes to share with Hikari, of course. But to pull this off, they had to find Alicia faster. Suddenly, Shinfi sensed something strange and led the group to investigate. As expected, they found a dazzling, rainbow-colored Slim, unlike anything they'd seen. Miku's excitement nearly let it slip away, but Kate, with 2 years' experience battling Sunday Slims, knew these creatures well. He warned that this one was special and mustn't escape, else the hunt would be over. The team spread out, encircling the creature. When all was ready, they unleashed the Slim rainbow trap, leaving no chance to flee. The battle began with magic strikes from Lucia and Shinfi, but the Slim barely flinched. It dashed away, thankfully not toward Hato and Shinji, who were less durable. Bit by bit, the team tightened their net, closing every gap. When the moment came, Kate gave the signal. Everyone attacked in unison. They triumphed, claiming their prize. Soon after, they staged a daring rescue from the hospital, leaving the doctor powerless. Hikari lay unconscious, her parents relying on these brave kids. The doctor tried to stop them, but they were too strong. Quickly, Hikari was brought into the dungeon and revived. Thanks to the life-to-item conversion system, the rarest prize appeared, a Titania summoning card. According to the girls, this Titania belonged to the healing class, likely able to cure Hikari's illness. Though uncertain of its power, hope blossomed. Kate urged his team to let Hikari become Titania's master. Naturally, if the master fell ill, the summoned hero must heal. At first, Hikari hesitated, knowing the card's preciousness. The others had no objections, though it wasn't Alicia. It was the best gift they had unearthed so far. Miku nudged her friend, who summoned Titania with a radiant glow, just as Kate often did. The spirit appeared, small like the others. Upon opening her eyes, Titania was surprised but accepted Hikari as her master. Without delay, they addressed the critical issue, Hikari's terminal illness. Using her power, Titania scanned the ailment. The diagnosis was grim. The disease was hard to cure, and Titania's level was only 1, limiting her strength. Panic spread among the group, but Eri understood Titania's words meant a total cure was impossible, though some relief was achievable. Confirming this, Titania began chanting to suppress the deadly disease, granting precious extra time for Hikari to level up or for them to find Alicia to heal her fully. As the ritual progressed, Hikari's body shimmered, cleansed, and strengthened. Though far from cured, she felt reborn. Miku burst into tears of joy, embracing Hikari tightly. To Hikari, this felt like the greatest Christmas gift their hero. She called Miku her champion, filling everyone with warmth. Turning to all present, she thanked them heroes all. Titania was praised as well, with hope she would aid Kate from now on. Though Kate kept his feelings guarded, a lightness filled his heart. Later, he shared the story with Haruka. Though Titania's healing magic lasted only a year, that time was precious. If Hikari trained hard, she might be cured completely. With 2 paths open, their burden eased. Haruka supported Kate's resolve, though she knew he must brave the dungeon until Hikari healed. Snow began to fall, and they exchanged Christmas wish-excellent confessions of love stirring beneath the winter's hush. Kate was about to speak his heart when his friend's mother called him away, halting the moment. Upon realizing this illness was stubbornly incurable, she shook her head. On top of that, her level was only 1, her growth painfully limited. Hearing this, everyone tensed up. But Eri caught a crucial detail. Titania said, not completely curable. That meant there was hope somewhere between despair and salvation. Hikari confirmed this, and everyone pleaded for a way to ease her condition. If they could slow the disease, they'd buy precious time to level her up or find Elsia to cure her completely. So, she began chanting a spell to push back the cruel sickness, granting her more moments to live. Hikari's body glowed like it was being purified, and she felt stronger, lighter. Though the cure wasn't absolute, it felt like a rebirth. Miku burst into tears of joy seeing Hikari like this. The two embraced, overwhelmed by emotion. To them, this was the most precious birthday gift, their own little miracle. Hikari even called Miku her hero, lighting up everyone's hearts. Turning to thank everyone present, she declared them all heroes too. Titania received much praise, with hopes she would keep supporting Hikari. Kaito, though less expressive, felt a deep relief. Later, he told Haruka about this. Titania's healing magic only lasted a year, but within that time, if Hikari trained hard, she believed she could be fully cured. With these 2 paths ahead, the weight on their shoulders eased a bit. Haruka knew the man she loved still had to enter the dungeon until that cure was found, but she supported him on the condition he promised to return safely. Snow began to fall as the two quietly celebrated each other's birthdays. Though words of love remained unspoken, their hearts knew the depth of their feelings. Kaito even planned to confess, but fate intervened when